Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Tarhaka, and today we are going to be dealing with relationships between the brothers and the sisters. Okay, but before we get started, let me state my position. My position is that, as far as I know, based on a thorough investigation, we have through natural procreation, we have only men and women. Now that's just based on my thorough investigation. Uh, Years and years and years, I haven't seen anything outside of that that would justify anything other than what's normal and what's natural. Now, my position also is I personally am not multicultural. That's just me. You may be different. You may think different. You may think, well, God say we supposed to love everybody. That's not my position. I ain't involved in that. I don't deal with hate. I don't do that. I'm not trying to get involved in beliefs, religion, none of that. Okay, my next position is I'm absolutely indigenous to this land. I didn't say anything about being native. I didn't say nothing about coming from someplace else. I say I'm absolutely indigenous to this land that we're calling the Americas. Okay? All right. My next position is I am a citizen of Florida State Republic. I didn't say nothing about being a U.S. corporate fiction, a property of a corporation. I didn't say anything like that. I am a citizen of Florida State Republic. I am a Floridian. I am a Moor. Okay? I just want to get this here out here before we go on down into the podcast. And y'all hold your hats on that. And we'll be trying to lay it out as best we can. Okay? All right. Peace. Let's go.
One of the major issues, and it's a holdover from sort of colonial Victorian, is the issue of sexual preference in many African countries. In Kenya, to be gay, the LGBT community is illegal. They just want to have equal rights, the same privacy and equality as all other Kenyans do. Is that something that you aspire to for your country?
I want to be very clear, Christiana. I will not engage in a subject that is of it is not of any major importance to the people and the Republic of Kenya. This is not an issue, as you would want to put it, of human rights or this. This is an issue of society, of our own base as a culture, as a people, regardless of which community you come from. This is not acceptable. This is not agreeable. This is not about Uhuru Kenyatta saying yes or no. This is an issue that the people of Kenya themselves, who have bestowed upon themselves a constitution, right, after several years, have clearly stated that this is not a subject that they are willing to engage in, yeah, at this time and moment. In years to come, possibly long after I'm president, who knows? Maybe our society will have reached a stage where those are issues that people are willing, freely and open to discuss. I have to be honest with you. And that is the position that we have always maintained. Those are the laws that we have, and those are laws that are 100% supported by 99% of the Kenyan people, irregardless of where they come from.
So
It's a very
you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Mm.
Because what you've categorically just stated is that this is not an issue for us, for the Kenyan people,
Yes.
and you don't think that the idea of their privacy, their equality, their rights is
Christian,
important.
this is...
But it's a global issue right now.
It's important to them where they are.
Why is it
I
not
am
important
saying
to you
that it
as
is
president
not
of the country?
important to me as the leader of 49 million Kenyans. And after, if you want to ask me my personal opinion,
What is your personal opinion?
after I finish my process, I can talk about my personal opinion. But as the leader of the people of the Republic of Kenya, I represent that which our people are desirous to be. And I have no choice, but that is my position.
Would you publicly say that people who are LGBT, gay members of the Kenyan population should not be discriminated against, should not be violated, should not be abused?
No Kenyan should be abused, should be, mistreated in any particular. Every Kenyan is protected by law, every single Kenyan. But they also must recognize that their freedoms are also must be taken into the entire context of the society that they live in. Because this is not a question of governments accepting or not accepting. This is a question of society, right?
Currently, it's a legal process.
Yes. And that legal process is based on the society that you live in, and that's why laws are made. So I think that's all I have to say about that particular subject.
Nairobi is getting a facelift. The government has been sprucing up the capital city, preparing to host business leaders and presidents from around the world. But the buzz on the streets is all about President Obama's visit.
I think this is a guy who really appreciates his roots.
Obama visited the East African nation as a U.S. senator, but never as president. His father was from Kenya, and he still has relatives here.
Because he's our brother, we welcome him.
Polls show Mr. Obama enjoys widespread popularity among Kenyans. But the president's visit is not without controversy. You see, close to 700 Kenyan evangelical pastors have written an open letter asking the president not to talk about the gay agenda.
We do not want him to come and talk on homosexuality in Kenya or push us to accepting that, which is against our faith and our culture.
Mark Kariuki is the key architect of that letter. He leads an alliance representing 38,000 churches and 10 million Kenyan Christians. He welcomes the president's visit, but says leave the gay talk in America.
Let him talk about development, let him talk about cooperation, let him talk about the long-time relationship Kenya has had with America, but about our beliefs and culture, keep off.
Obama has used previous trips to Africa to urge governments to respect gay rights. Kariuki says the open letter is a warning to the president.
The family is the strength of a nation. If the family is destroyed, then the nation is destroyed. So we don't want to open doors for a nation to be destroyed.
Pro-family activists took to the streets of Nairobi this month, urging the president to avoid the subject when he visits.
Since Obama has a Kenyan descent, I think he should be more familiar with our culture.
Homosexuality is illegal in Kenya and 37 other African countries. In fact, Kenya's penal code says any individual who has carnal knowledge of any person against the order of nature can face 14 years jail time. Bishop Kariuki says he'll fight to keep homosexuality a crime in Kenya.
Because it is an abomination to God.
Top Kenyan politicians are also weighing in. The country's deputy president is quoted saying, "God did not create man and woman so that men would marry men and women marry women." Another lawmaker warned, "We shall tell him to shut up and go home if he talked about gay rights." After last month's U.S. Supreme Court ruling legalizing gay marriage in America, one politician here said allowing such a thing in her country would open, quote, floodgates of evil, synonymous with the biblical Sodom and Gomorrah. Meanwhile, Bishop Kariuki says the president is destroying America. with his support for gay marriage.
I believe that with all my heart. With that agenda, he's ruining America, because America has been known as a Christian nation. It has been known as a nation that has sent missionaries out. Now it is a different nation altogether, because it's an agenda against God.
George Thomas, CBN News, Nairobi, Kenya.
Life in prison, even the death penalty for being gay? In Uganda tonight, that's reality after President Yoweri Museveni signed one of the world's most draconian anti-gay laws, triggering an international backlash, threats of punishment from the U.S., and fears of other African nations following Uganda into an LGBT crackdown.
This is not where I would like to be.
This Ugandan LGBT activist had to flee their country, now living in exile.
You are arresting us for literally doing nothing, for simply existing, But where are we supposed to go? How did we become refugees in our own countries?
The new law punishes gay sex with a life sentence for the crime of promoting homosexuality, 20 years. It was watered down from an earlier version that criminalized merely identifying as LGBTQ. But this version imposes even harsher penalties for what it calls aggravated homosexuality, same-sex relations involving children, people with HIV, or other vulnerable people.
When you commit aggravated homosexuality, the law says you shall be liable to suffer death. Museveni!
Across the globe, outrage. President Biden calling it shameful. The U.S. saying it will directly impede American aid to Uganda, including in fighting HIV/AIDS.
The enactment of Uganda's Anti-Homosexuality Act is a tragic violation of human rights, of universal human rights.
Even Republican Senator Ted Cruz, not known as a champion of LGBT rights, calling it grotesque, an abomination, while Secretary of State Antony Blinken threatens visa bans on Ugandan officials. But in Uganda, the law's chief backer brushing off U.S. threats.
Let all of us be subjected. In fact, let all Ugandans be denied visas to America, Canada, and the European Union.
As Ugandan lawyers challenge the law in constitutional court, other African nations may follow Uganda's example. Already, 32 of Africa's 54 nations criminalize homosexuality. Those countries make up nearly half of the 67 countries globally where being gay is a crime. In Kenya, Tanzania, and Ghana, there are campaigns underway to replicate the new Ugandan law.
We are delighted to know that Uganda has been able to set the pace. It's a good thing that other countries are also taking up this issue.
Josh Letterman is joining us now, and it's such important reporting, Josh. I'm struck by the person who said, I'm a refugee now in my own country here. You talk about how more than half of African nations criminalize same-sex relationships here. Obviously, death penalty, extreme end of this. But talk about the comparison to punishments that people face in other African nations who are LGBTQ+.
Yeah, it really varies across the continent, Hallie. There are a handful of other countries in addition to this one that do have Sharia law as part of their criminal systems and therefore do have the death penalty on the books as a potential punishment for homosexuality. Then there are other countries like Tanzania and Sudan where they have a life sentence as the maximum punishment available under the law for gay sex acts. But then there are countries that have more limited measures, such as Tanzania, where it is illegal to provide condoms and lube to centers that deal, for example, with HIV/AIDS infection. But it's not just about the formal laws on the books, Hallie, because even in countries in Africa where there are not laws that explicitly outlaw homosexuality, there are very high rates of homophobic crime and even violence targeting LGBTQ people. And on the flip side of this, only one country in the entire continent has legalized same-sex marriage. That country is South Africa. Hallie?
Josh Letterman, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Blog Talk Radio.
All right, everybody, it's time for us to delve on down into the meat and potatoes of this very informative podcast tonight. The great debate on the relationships between the Moorish sisters and the Moorish brothers. The overall condition of the relationship is different between the brothers and sisters. What are the outside contributing factors? What do the experts have to say about the situation? What's the bottom line about the solution to the situation? Why does America not promote this type of a relationship in mass across this nation? What is it? Why? Now, before we get down here, I want to tell you a little story. I just happened to be watching this broadcast, and I don't normally look at a lot of TV. Well, I don't look at it, no. But anyway, they had this story on about this little white boy, and he had a habit of molesting little children. I mean, babies. And they put him in the detention, and they mounted a insanity defense on his behalf. Then they put him in a mental institution, mental hospital. And when it's time for his release now, of course he's going to be released. He was released into the public, and this time he's seen a little 8-year-old girl, kidnapped her, murdered her, and buried her. And they find out it was him. But what was interesting to me, through all of this, everybody know there was a problem with him. When they finally caught him for the murder of this child, they interviewed his parents and his siblings. His sister came on there and said he had been molesting me ever since I came in the world. Now, what I want to know is why didn't this come up in the beginning before this 8-year-old child was murdered by the same man that had been doing this kind of stuff that everybody knew about all along? It is amazing to me. Think about that. Now, later on tonight, we're going to get down into the heavyweights, the professionals, and the psychologists and psychiatrists, and they're going to give us some insights on the relationships that we're having with one another and this thing that we do about dating outside of our race, if you know what I mean. But nevertheless, let's continue on here. I'm going down to the commercial. When I come back, we're going in. What is shocking to me among many people today is they are still trying to function in the public financially instead of moving into the private. It stands to reason if you can't pay a debt with a debt, the only thing left is discharge. Move into the private and learn how to function the right way. Stop losing money, time, and effort. I don't see rich people complaining about a debt problem. Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to become a creditor. You don't have to keep going through the same thing over and over. I'm right here, TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Let's get out of the public and into the private. Let's become a secured party and a creditor. Okay? Peace. All right, now I'm back. Before we delve on down in here and open up these plugs and we hear what other people got to say about this relationship thing, I want to state I was quite fortunate in the stuff. I was educated by women, and I'm not one to pursue anything. I think that what I'm supposed to be doing is, first of all, taking care of myself. Second of all, investing in myself. Third of all, getting the power, which is knowledge, and accumulate everything that I'm going to need in a relationship when I get to that first. Okay, your money, your bank, your house, your horses, your chariots, your everything first, and then now you're officially ready to try to do something. I think a man should stay focused. You can't be focused, turning to the right to see, turning to the left to see, and all this kind of business. Stay focused. Okay. 3 reasons why the sisters have a problem with the brothers. Let's go and find out about that.
So guys, I've been on social media for the last 6-7 years making content, at least on YouTube rather. And of course, I've been living in the black community since I've been born. And one of the things that I have gotten the feeling about is that black women do not respect black men. And of course, we can look at a lot of things that black women like Pookies and Ray Rays, that black women prefer, this sort of guy over that sort of guy. And some of that can and cannot be true. But there are 3 fundamental reasons, as I've been developing as a man, that I clearly see why black women have no respect for us. And those things have nothing to do with black women, but more or less, it has something to do with us. Now, I want to play this controversial clip from a controversial TikToker that a lot of brothers don't like, and that is a young lady by the name of Coco the Lawyer. Now, I don't agree with the majority of this clip, but there is a part of the clip that I do agree with. Can you guess what part it is? Let's play that clip.
This is how I also further know the black community is dealing way too much in emotion and not reasoning. I told y'all I was divesting from black men. Gave y'all statistics over multiple videos. Multiple different black women from all different parts of life have all congregated in all those comment sections to concur and add their 2 cents in and their experience. I am too educated. I listen to black women. I have a reasoning brain that I can separate my emotions from. This is why I divest. Black men as a whole are failing. And rather than hold them accountable and force them to succeed at anything other than running their mouth, y'all coddle and condone their failure. Make it make sense. You want unity, but they're not unified. Get them unified.
So guys, you heard the clip in its entirety. I don't really care about her divesting from black men or for black men, she doesn't want to date them. Doesn't matter to me. I do want to focus on one part of the clip, and that is black men are not united.
You want unity, but they're not unified.
Let's deal with that as a particular subject, because a lot of black men forget about that, and they forget that black women are watching the fact that we are not united. Now, obviously, not every black man can unite with another brother. That's true. We're going to have guys in our own community that we do not like, that we hate, that we're enemies with. It's normal. It happens with white people. It happens with Jews. It happens with Asians. Everybody in the same group doesn't like each other. That's true enough. But the first reason why black women do not respect black men is because black men have no respect for each other, period. Think about it. As black men, we teach women how to treat us. And when we come across each other in our respective cities, many of us as black men will not even speak to each other. Imagine a brother you see in Detroit. Imagine a brother you see in Cleveland. We can't even say hello because we have a problem mean mugging each other. Now, if my brother is walking into the store, he got his daughter, he got his son, he got his wife, or anything like that, he got his girl, and I'm walking in the store, I have an attitude with him. I don't want to acknowledge him. And if I have that attitude towards black men, how am I ever going to be able to build a network? And it's not just the Pookies and the Ray Rays, because a lot of you brothers want to use that excuse. No, it happens at every level. Some of the brothers that are collegiate educated, brothers in professional schools, If that guy is not in your fraternity or in your sorority, or fraternity rather, you don't want to work with the guy. And black women watch that. This is the reason why black men cannot come into any area and develop any of it or develop each other in talent. Let's even look at it here on the internet. A lot of the opportunities we have in the social media content creation business, we can't even take advantage of because we won't even work together. We don't even know how to do business with each other. We don't even know how to approach each other in the business world, how to even have the simplest level of respect for each other. And it's not just a Pookie and a Ray Ray issue. It's an issue that happens with all of us as black men. Then we get upset when black women don't respect us. But if black women saw black men coming together to even do the smallest levels of development, you would get respect from black women. And don't even give me that whole thing, you know, those Pookies and Ray Rays are the only ones that get respect. Or, you know, listen, the thug guys don't get any respect from black women. They're just getting sex from if they're even getting that. But because we don't respect each other, we don't get anything from anybody in the black community. And that is our issue. Once we start having respect for each other as black men, people will start respecting us. And I know that because I saw that in my grandfather's generation. You had a lot more respect for black men towards each other, and that made a difference. The second reason that black men have a serious issue with getting respect from black women is black men don't invest / have ownership in the black community. Now, this is a tough one, right? And I want to talk about finances because, unfortunately, finances is key. It's key in every community, right? Because, you know, I believe that money in the black community only lasts 6 hours. But now, one of the issues that we have is that we don't invest. And I'm talking about in general, right? Invest. Invest in yourself. Invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, and you have no ownership, whether you have a business or anything that is community-driven oriented that solves the solutions of your community that you understand that you can personally benefit off of. Now, I want to play a clip from this particular brother, right? He's here on YouTube. I forgot his name right now, but we'll put his name actually here in the video. And he talks about why black people have a hard time investing.
First, we have to start off with the facts to get an understanding of why the black community does not invest in the stock market and real estate and cryptocurrency the same as our counterparts. Fact 1. Half of all black U.S. adults don't have any assets or are currently not invested in anything. And if you break that down by gender, 59% of black women don't invest or have any invested assets, while 42% of black men don't have any vested assets. Pause moment. Now, before I dissect this information, I want to be clear that this was a survey given to 5,000 something people, so this is not a widespread survey, but I'm pretty sure if it was widespread, the information wouldn't be much different. What I've got to say here is how important it is to hold assets and to build wealth by investing in something that's going to give you more money in the future, or at least put you in a position to make a decision to get a better investment going for yourself or someone you love.
So you guys saw that, right? There's another clip from the sister that talks about the disparity that even affluent black men have. Think about this. Affluent black men who are discriminated against, right? The things that they experience. I want you to see how even the top percentage of black men are struggling in America with lack of opportunities.
It's also very important to be mindful of the fact that blacks experience affluence and its financial benefits differently than other groups, particularly black men. Researchers at Stanford and Harvard University, working with the Census Bureau, conducted a sweeping study that traced the lives of millions of children and found that black boys raised in America, even in the wealthiest families, earn less in adulthood than white boys with similar backgrounds. Researchers concluded that if this inequality cannot be explained by individual or household traits, much of what matters probably lies outside the home, in surrounding neighborhoods, and the economy, and in a society that views black boys differently from white boys and even from black girls, as black women do not experience the same dynamic. Some of the researchers even went so far as to say that what happens to these affluent black boys and men is the major cause of the wealth gap. These socioeconomic tragedies make investing even more imperative for the Black community. The financial markets can help us empower ourselves and level our own economic playing fields.
So just think about the majority of us that were not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. Guess what? If we don't have investments, we can't control the narrative of what happens in the community. What happens with a lot of Black men is a lot of constitutive complaining about what they don't have, about, what somebody isn't giving us. When we are traditionally men, we are the creators of what we see in the communities that we live in. For an example, in the Black manosphere, this community, 2015 rather, a few brothers came together. I'm still in the business today. I now have other things like the Pan-African Dating Show. You guys have seen some of the episodes there. I produce now my own movies. I have my own studio now. It's called ownership. And I get a lot of support. Financially, I get support from brothers on emails. I'm not rich or anything, but it's a start because I have ownership in what I'm trying to do for the community that I'm a part of, because it's a need that needs to be created. But you don't see that with some of the brothers. We don't even know how much money we have to retire. We don't even know where we want to own a house at. We don't even understand how to even get into the situations where we can network with other people, learn businesses, learn things that, and remember, community minded, right? As Black Americans, we understand the problems that our community has. So we can attack it in ways that are financially lucrative. We don't take the opportunity to do that. So when you don't do that as men, you have no ownership of the community, which means you have no ability to hire or fire your people or have any financial power. Women typically don't have a respect for guys who don't have any ownership of their community. Now, I know what guys are going to say. Well, they're out there working for this person, or they're over there with these Pookies and Ray Rays. I get it. Those sort of women we don't even really want in the conversations right now. But let's talk about this, right? Because we're not going to deal with women who are dealing with Pookies and Ray Rays. That's not who we're dealing with. But let's look at people like Tyler Perry, who has ownership of his business. Let's talk about Robert Smith, right? These are people that we know that have ownership. There are many Black men in Philadelphia, Baltimore. They own like 60 houses or 100 houses, or they own 3 or 4 houses. We're talking about brothers like P. Diddy, people with ownership and things. And I'm not saying that you have to be a ownership owner or you have to be a big time business person, but you have ownership. And guess what? Women respect men who have the ability to lead. Okay? It's just the reality. You have enough money to, you know how to manage your funds. You know how to own your house. Things like that, especially in the Black community. I have a friend of mine who just does, what do you call these games that they play in high school in the summer, those summer league basketball games, right? AAU games. He has an AAU tournament team. He just sells snacks. He's getting like $1,000 every day. It's a community-minded oriented solution, and he employs people. He makes a ton of money doing it all the time. But Black men are not doing that. We have no ownership of the community. So you can't create jobs there. You can't clean up your people there. You can't hire and fire anybody there, even on a small level. And don't tell me you have to be a big corporation, because small business runs the United States. So without Black men investing into themselves, investing into their retirement, investing in the stock market, investing in their own skills and development, you don't get respect from women or other people. That's paramount. Now, this one is controversial, and this doesn't apply to every brother. But I want to say this, and it has a lot of things that I understand. Again, and I hate to say this one, but number 3, Black men do not give enough incentives for Black women to submit to us as a group. This is not for every Black man, of course. Some of you brothers out there have many things to offer. You have a network. But for the average Black man that is complaining, we don't offer each other or women what they would need to submit in this current generation. Why? Because of number reasons 1 and 2. Failure to support each other as men means you don't have any network. Failure to invest in yourself means you can't get more skills, you can't get more income, which means that you can't really support yourself. That means you don't get to benefit off of other black men's talents. That's one of the things I've been able to do very well. I don't have every talent, but I have enough sense that I can work with other black men to benefit from their talent. It makes my life immensely easier because of that ability. Many black men have not figured it out, okay? And when you can benefit off of your brother's talent, it makes your life a lot easier. So number 3 culminates from number reasons 1 and 2, means that you don't offer the woman that you're dealing with enough to be your partner. I know what guys are going to say. I can go to another race of woman and that's fine. I get it. But typically, that's going to be the problem with almost any American woman or any woman overall. Because see, number reasons 1 and 2 could easily care about and take over number 3. See, when you fail to invest in yourself, you fail to run things in your community. You fail to, you fail to bring resources to your community. You fail to invest in your community, because when you invest, you will get back. That's the thing. When you invest, you get back. You get more opportunities when you invest. I know that. But when you don't have that, you don't have the resources. So you don't have any productivity. Then the woman doesn't submit to you. People don't listen to you, even though you have good points. For an example, Kevin Samuels made great points. I make great points. A lot of the brothers make great points. Malcolm X, when he talked about racism, made great points. But if you have nothing tangible behind it, you can't make great points. Let's even look at the George Floyd situation. With the George Floyd situation, we saw that black men were very apathetic. Now, again, I'm not saying that they were not outraged at what happened, but we have no funding from our own pockets that addresses our own issues. It makes women not respect you. When as a group of men, you don't have any solutions to your own issues. You hear complaining, but you don't hear any solutions. Like, I've seen some brothers out there that see, like, some women get scholarships, and then I see some brothers say, well, why didn't a black man get a scholarship? Well, then my question is, why didn't we create the scholarship? Because they're not going to give us anything. We need to get out of the fact that people are going to give black men something when they're not. We have to be the ones that give it to ourselves. We have to come and look and discover our own talent. We have to look at discovering our own situation and reinvest into each other, leaving the women aside. But when we fail to do that, they don't respect you. That's what we have to do. We got to get back to how we used to be in the black Jim Crow utopia, where all we had was each other. We need to look at it like that. Once we can start to respect each other like that, we will create opportunities not only for each other, but for our young kids, for our young nephews and nieces, and for the women that we choose to deal with, regardless of whatever color they are. But these are three reasons fundamentally why not only black women don't respect us, but other groups, the whites, Asians. Now, they don't have to like us. I'm not saying all whites or all Asians don't respect blacks. But for those of you who complain about that, and that you say, like, okay, well, they don't want you with their daughter, that's because when somebody says, I don't want my daughter marrying a black man, it's because of what I'm talking about. They don't invest into their community. They don't invest into their women. They don't invest into their people. That's the black man stereotype. That's what happens. And until we fix issues, reasons number 1 and 2, number 3 is going to be there. And then we'll be blaming other people as to why they don't respect us. So guys, I'm ready for the comments. I know some of you brothers are going to be upset. This doesn't apply to every black man, but it does apply to a lot of us, that we need to change our ways. We need to stop thinking for people to do something for us and get out here and maximize the opportunity that God has given us today to be able to work together, to be able to access each other, to do all of these great things together, to not lie, not cheat each other, and to do better. I'm out.
When they send you a letter demanding payment, don't toss it in the garbage. Have some fun. Sharpen your skills. Bring it all into question. When the tow company takes your car or truck away as the repo man, send them the right documents so you can see how fast they bring it back. To learn how to do it right, contact me at tarhakadebtelimination.org. There are many, many remedies for problems you may face. You don't have to keep being a victim. There's something that you can do if you know how, and that's why I'm here. There are people that are losing sleep because they're getting stuff in the mail about their being evicted from their property when the property is paid for in the beginning. TargetDebtElimination.org, man. Holler at me. We would have stopped. Let me make sure I got this one right also. Someone tells you that you must pay them money about your children in the form of child support. They also say they would suspend your driver's license. And they said they would garnish your wages. Who were they talking to? A debtor? Or did they make the mistake and say it to a creditor? When you got married, they said it was a part of that also. Request my free report at TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Let's have some fun. Fill out the contact us form for my free report, and I'll rush it straight to your email box. What about this banking stuff? What's going on in the United States? I tell you what, request my free report at TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Peace. Okay, everybody, we back. Now, we had heard from the brother, and he had some valuable information, and I've been pretty much saying the same thing for years. Your money, your bank, do your own thing. Get out of debt, take care of your family, and so on and so forth. Now, I want to look at something else. This time, I want to check this sister out, and she has some same things to say about her own personal disappointment in the brothers, and she's asking for some feedback on what she's talking about. Okay? So I'm going to run this here now. Later on in the broadcast, we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty and hear from the professionals. And we also want to look at some of the outside contributing factors to the problem. Okay? But let's get down here. Y'all hold
been on
on.
my mind lately. I have nothing against the plain Jane females. And what I mean by that, like the females who doesn't go out, the female who doesn't like get their makeup done, the female who doesn't really get their hair done often. The plain Jane females, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't have nothing against y'all, but why is it so hard for us pretty girls to come across a decent guy? It just seems like all the guys, the good guys, always like cuff the plain Jane females. And I feel like, us pretty girls, and I'm not calling the plain Jane females ugly. I'm just saying like the pretty girls that's extra, we love to dress up, we love fashion, we love keeping our nails and our hair done. And we just like to look good, you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, it's hard being a pretty girl because I feel like it's a curse. Because I feel like we go through so much, and I feel like we always got to prove ourselves to a nigga for a nigga to realize, like, we are the one. Like, we good. We're a good girl. But I just feel like, being pretty is just a fucking curse. And, I done dealt with, guys or whatever, and I done, have a conversation with guys, and they'll be like, oh, I'm scared of you. Like, what? What you mean you scared of me? Like, I don't be getting that. Like, what you mean? Why are you scared of me? I'm not going to harm you, little old me. Like, I'm not going to harm you. I'm not going to hurt you. So why would you feel like you scared of me? I don't know, is it because they know we got options and they feel like we can find somebody that's better than them or something like that? Because I don't know. I just need answers from the guys. I need anybody to comment or inbox me and let me know, why do guys always say that to pretty girls? They always say, oh, I'm scared of you. I'm scared of love. I'm scared to date you. Why is that? I just need answer. And it's because y'all go and cuff the plain Jane females. Y'all go marry them. Y'all go do anything to please them. Y'all treat them like the queen that they are. And like I said, I don't have nothing against the plain Jane females. I'm speaking for the females that keep their hair, their nails done, just keep themselves up every day, all day. So I need answers. Somebody please. Yeah.
Well, the simplest answer is that you're superficial, and that's why you struggle. And this doesn't account for every woman who is making sure her hair is done, making sure her nails are done, making sure she is, fashionably dressed. But just based on listening to just that conversation, I would say that you're superficial, whereas all you see in a man or in yourself is the exterior of the man or the exterior of yourself. Now, you call yourself a pretty girl. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So that is something that cannot be determined just based on you. But you feel that way about yourself, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with you feeling that you are a pretty girl. I'm not saying that you're ugly. But when a man sees you and starts talking to you, I would imagine that the majority of the conversation will revolve around money, will revolve around what he can do for you and to alleviate some of your financial expenses. To give you an example, I remember one time this young lady wanted to talk to me, and within about 2 to 3 weeks, she started asking me for money to get her hair done, money to get her nails done. And I immediately was of the mindset of, why should I pay for your hair and your nails? You've already been doing it for yourself, so why are you asking me? If you want your nails done, go get your nails done. I've only been knowing you for 2 weeks. Even if I have been knowing you for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, your expenses do not become my expenses until we have solidified some deeper level of commitment towards one another. And that deep level of commitment is not based on the superficials of whether or not you are pretty or not. It's based on your character. It's based on how you treat me. It's based on how you elevate my peace. It's based on how you elevate my fun. If you're not deeper into the emotional states and the mental states with me, and all you're concerned about is, when am I going to pay for your nails? When am I going to pay for your hair? When am I going to pay for those eyelashes? Then you are a superficial person. You are not worth my time. You are not marriage material, because you're living for the right now, the presentation that other people and how other people see you and how you see yourself just physically, and not concerned about your mental growth, your maturity growth, or financial growth. You're only concerned about your own personal finances, your own personal looks. So therefore, you're not marriage material. Now, the ones you call plain Jane, the plain Jane, as you describe them, who don't always go and get their hair done, these women know how to take care of their own hair. These women know how to take care of their own nails. These women know how to do all those things. So yes, when a man meets that type of woman who is learning who he is, and he gets to learn who she is, he's also recognizing that if the money is ever down, then I know she can still take care of herself. She's not going to all of a sudden bring about a whole bunch of discord in the house because she can't go out and get her nails done. She'll just figure out a way to get them done at home. She can't go out and get her hair done. She'll just figure out a way to get it done at home. You see, when we meet that kind of woman, we don't mind. Baby, go and get your nails done. Have a professional do it. Go and get your hair done. Have a professional do it. We don't mind those things. You like that dress? You like that outfit? Rock with it. Go with it. We don't mind that, because we know that that is not the core of that person. We know this person is more interested in making sure that the family unit is mentally and physically and financially secure over making sure that you continue to get your lashes and your all those sorts of things done. So maybe what you should do is take a deeper look at who you are and what you prioritize. And when you change those priorities to fit what a good man is looking for, then you will find a good man. Because as you said, you just finding ends. And you and your end. Because them ends don't care nothing about all that. They just looking for the superficial as well. They're not men. They're looking to just get some ass. They're looking to just look good in front of their friends, to be able to say, yeah, that's my girl, look at her, she's so fine, she's so pretty. Going home and arguing over money, going home and arguing over, clothing and all these other sorts of things, and everything is just superficial. What qualities are you bringing that would enhance that man's life? And what are you looking for from the man to enhance your life? If all you're looking for is money to enhance your life, then all you're going to get is a man who only cares about money. If that's all you're looking for. Are you looking at a man that's going to bring you joy in your life? A man that's going to bring you peace? A man that's going to bring you protection? A man that's going to truly provide for you, which means that he is looking down the road. He's planning how we're going to be in the next 10 years, how we're going to be in the next 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Are we going to be senior citizens dependent upon Social Security and a slight retirement check? Like, what is his plan? What is his investment plan? See, we looking down the road. Them ends you mess with, they just thinking about today. They thinking about it today. And that's why you can't find a good one. But I'll take a plain Jane, as you call it, over a pretty girl who's just going to take money out of my pocket and disrupt my peace. I'll take the plain Jane 10 times over, because I'd rather be by myself than have to deal with a quarrelsome woman and deal with a superficial woman, because it's a bunch of plain Janes, as you call them. I give them a 10, give them a 9 or 8 before I give some people who call themselves a pretty girl, and they really only ranking about a 6 or a 7. But what do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe, comment, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.
Okay. Well, I think the brother said a mouthful right there. So what y'all think? Okay, the phone lines are open now. 563-999-3443. Press 1 on your phone if you got something to say. Open up the phone line so you can get in. 563-999-3443. Press 1 on your phone because the phone lines are open. Open up the line so you can get in. I'm going to take a little quick break, and I'll be right back. right, everybody, we're back. I remember once I was I ran into some interesting situations. I had a young lady on the job that I was working on, and she made the announcement that I'm looking for a real man. And I said, well, okay, what is your description of a real man? I mean, how does the man have to be? What does he have to do? Well, first of all, he has to have dreads, and he has to have gold teeth in his mouth. I said, okay, all right. She said, well, that's it. I said, well, wait a minute. What else do we have to have? Well, I'm just saying, that's the kind of man I'm looking for. I'm looking for a real man. Now, once again, I'm on a dating site, and I've noticed that the women that I'm looking at are these beautiful sisters, and I look at their description of what they are looking for, and it seems to me that all of them were saying the same thing. Well, first of all, I'm looking for a God-fearing man, and I want to go skinny dipping, and I like to hold hands and walk on the beach, and but they always have pretty much the same description. I'm looking for a God-fearing man. I said, okay, this is gonna be fun. So what I did is I made sure when I put my profile file up there, number one, I am not a religious man. I love the beach and I like holding hands. I ain't big on skinny dipping. And so I try to be the opposite of the description of what they were looking for, and at the same time have a pleasing appearance and have all the other ducks in the row. I got my own this, that, third, everything. I mean, just real solid stuff. And they will, well, first of all, I'll get some, they like it. And I got a chance to talk to a few of them. And the first thing out of their mouth is, well, what church are you a member of? I say, did you read my description? They, yeah, I read the description, but you got to belong to some church. I said, no, I don't. If you read my description in my profile, then everything is as it says it is. Well, I belong to such a church. And this, that, and the third. And finally, I kept running into the same kind of thing, like a brick wall. I said, well, look, I had fun with this, but I'm going to get on off of this thing here. And going on and do something else. But nevertheless, it's very interesting out there. And you run into a whole lot of folks out there. Now, I read a story here not too long ago where this brother married a woman, what he thought was a woman, and come to find out it wasn't a woman, if you know what I mean. And he killed her. Once he found out, he murdered the guy. But anyway, in my personal opinion, it's dangerous out there. But I'm going to keep on going on with what we're dealing with here today, and look at some more things here. I'm going to deal with
People would rather you be miserable with someone of your own race than you be in love with someone of a different race. It is so utterly ridiculous. I read the comments.
Yeah.
People need to get a life. Let that man be happy. I get it. But if that's not what brings him joy, if that's not what brings him happiness, who are you to tell him who he should be with because it's not of his race?
I get it, guys. It's another one of these interracial dating videos starring you, the black man. But this conversation is so compelling, it just keeps going on and on. But I want you to consider this, because I'm just like you. An African American, I grew up in the inner city, went to the black church, had black friends. Some of you, your parents may have had more money than me, may have had less money than me, but I think we all share the same experience. And if you were somewhat of a high achiever, you knew that if you came home with a woman that wasn't black like your mom, it was a disgrace to her. It was a slap in her face. It kind of indicated that she did something wrong. So many of us, we didn't want to let our mother down, right? So we wanted to go out and get that beautiful black queen, bring her back to the church, marry her, have black kids, because we wanted to be accepted by our community. We didn't want to be one of those brothers that was a sellout. Plus, we love black women, right? But what happens to those black men who look at the black community as a place of trauma, as a place of rejection, as a place of, some place that people laughed at you? And even worse, black dating. What if you were the guy that, chicks didn't like, and you weren't cool, and maybe you didn't sell drugs, you didn't have the nice slang, you didn't have the nice Jordans, and, you got out in the real world, and what you're doing now would be considered corny. Like, has that changed your perspective in dating? It may have. And what Shannon Sharpe said might actually be true for some of you guys listening. Now listen, Shannon Sharpe is just like us. He grew up in Georgia. He grew up with black parents. He even has a black daughter. But as he started to get out in the real world, the opportunities became greater and greater to deal with other groups of women. And that's the case with Bronny James. I mean, he's the son of LeBron James, and, we see what he's doing in his prom pictures, and people are very upset with that. But you heard what Shannon Sharpe said. What did he say? People would much rather you be suffering in your own race than be happy with somebody else. Well, what does he mean by people? Because there's only really one race of people we could be talking about, because white people, they tend to, stay together longer. Hispanics, Asians. There's really only one group of people that he could be referring to that want you to suffer. That is the black race. That's African Americans in particular. So what is Shannon Sharpe revealing for some of the black men out there? And he didn't want to phrase it in that way so he couldn't be canceled. But Shannon Sharpe is admitting to something that we already kind of know. That, some black relationships, if not most, people are suffering, right? There's not a lot of great things going on. And a lot of black men feel that they need to keep it, real. They need to keep it black. They need to go into the black love thing, or for fear of being ostracized, by the mother, by the community, by being called a sellout, instead of figuring out how to be happy. Now, I want to talk about this because Shannon Sharpe, if he was let's say he was a woman, okay, and it was a black woman taking a picture with a white man, and Shannon Sharpe was asked about that, then the response would have been okay, because black women, it is completely okay for you to go out and date white men. You can still have your blackness and do that. We know that because Maya Angelou still keeps her blackness. It's very common. But what about you? You as a black man, if you don't want to deal with, certain elements of sisters in the black community, or if you're not feeling like, these ladies are marriage material, if you're feeling like there's a little bit more of entitlement going on, and you want to spread your rings and you want to go out and date somebody else, well, what are the outcomes of that? Well, people are going to talk about you. People are going to call you a sellout, especially if you're successful. And, well, the question is, should you do it? And Bronny James at 17 is already doing it. But see, it's going to even get worse because there's young guys, 14 and 15, who are not even going to be participating in the gender war that you may see going online between black men and black women. Shannon Sharpe is admitting that a lot of black men may be suffering in their current relationships with black women. Not only did he make that explanation, so did the late, great Kevin Samuels. And that caused a lot of ruckus amongst a lot of people on the internet, that a lot of black men were suffering in relationships, possibly with black women. Now, could that be because these guys chose the wrong woman? Absolutely. Could it have been because those guys didn't work enough on themselves and sell it for less? Absolutely. But could it be also now that black men are going to go out there and kind of like, kind of figure it out for themselves and, let the best bidder win and, whatever they can do to get the best woman for themselves, they're going to do that? Absolutely. That's what you're going to see. What you're going to see is less black men focus on, developing the community and doing what's best for the black community, for the community to survive. And more black men are going to be looking at trying to gain their overall happiness. If that's with the woman in the black community, or it could be a woman from the Dominican Republic, or even the white woman. And I think this is the scary part. There's too many guys out there that agree with Shannon Sharpe. And even me, I'm a pro-black, like hardcore, hard body. But, some of my friends in the Pan-African community, we see what's going on. And many of us are afraid. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. Because we see a lot of black men like Shannon Sharpe who feel like him, who they have ties to the black community, but they're not dedicated to the black community as far as, staying married or reproduction as much. They're looking at trying to find the best woman for the job. And in many cases, I'm afraid, right? I don't know if we're going to be able to keep the African American community going on for much longer. And the reason is because you're going to have so many black men dealing with other women of other races, because they're looking for the best person for the job. And no longer are you going to have black men, really saying, I'm for the black women, I'm for the black queens, I'm from the black community, everything is black, this is B1 first. You're not going to hear that from a lot of guys. You're going to hear it from some guys, but most guys are going to be looking at who is the best woman for me first. And see, when you get to that situation, that's when it gets scary. But I don't think that people understand how scary it is. It is really scary for our community. And I don't know what's going to change that. You have a lot of women out there who feel like, these guys don't need to be competed for. And so you kind of have these guys who feel like, well, I never fitted in the first place. I need to go over to another community and do something over here. And then when you get a lot of those guys feeling that way, that's the beginning of the end. And that's where we're at now. We're in the point where black men just don't care about what their families think. They don't care about what I think. They don't care about what the pro-blacks think. Only thing they care about is them being happy. They know that they die earlier than other people. They know that, their lifespan is not as long as other folks. So while they're here, they're just trying to be happy. They don't have time for the foolishness. And then there you have it. That's where black men are going to go from now on. And, I will have to say, I'm sort of sad, but I think the writing could possibly be on the wall. What do you think we can do to change that, guys? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe with the bell. Check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.
All right, we back, everybody. Okay. Now let me tell you about some more of the stories of what I ran into. First of all, and I'm gonna have to define this for you because I don't want you to get it twisted. We have pimps and tricks. Okay, and I'm talking about the brothers. Now, what I mean by pimps is not the Hollywood version of somebody taking advantage of somebody that are beating the women down on the street, exploiting them out there for sex. I ain't talking about no chumps masquerading as men. I'm talking about men that's taking full responsibility and, like I've described earlier. But now, let me tell you about the brothers who are tricks. Because when I was growing up, the only trick that I knew of, and it's just me, just what I knew of, didn't look like me. Sister come tell me, well, that white boy over there, he told me he'd give me $300 to, have sex with him. And I said, okay, that's interesting. But that's the only one that I knew about at that time that I call tricking. Okay, my version of tricking might be different from yours. And I know my version about a pimp is different than yours. But anyway, this guy, he came over to my house, and I had drew up and wrote a full description of the type of woman that I'm going to get. And he's the type of brother. He make good money, and but what he liked to do, and it was not just him. It was I've seen a whole gobble of them. They want to go uptown, find them a woman that's hanging out on the streets, have sex with that woman, and take her to a motel, have sex with her, have sex with her in the car, and then go home to their wife. Real dumb. But anyway, he come over and I laid out this description of the woman that I wanted to get. And he said, what you doing? I said, I'm writing a description of my type of woman, or the woman that I'm fixing to have. Oh, yeah? I said, yeah. You mind if I look at it? I said, no, here you go. Take a look. He went reading it, looking at it down there, and all of a sudden he said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get this kind of woman. I said, well, why not? You ain't going to, there's no way you're going to get a woman like this here. Man, I got to go use the bathroom. I said, man, what's wrong with you, man? I mean, you are literally getting upset with me because I simply described for you and myself, described for myself the type of woman that I want, and you mad with me? And what is it? You don't want me to have it? That type of woman don't even turn me on. I said, well, I know what type of woman turn you on. They right out there on the corner. But anyway, it was amazing to me to see this guy literally got angry with me, and like I ain't got no business desiring to have a woman like was described on the paper that I wrote down. And I asked him, I said, well, do you think that such a woman exists? He said, oh, yeah, they exist. I know they exist. But you ain't going to get no woman like that. I'm telling you right now, you ain't going to get no woman like that. You ain't going to get no woman like that. I said, well, what's wrong with you, man? I mean, you want a cold beer or something? But anyway, let's move on, y'all.
That's why I don't cook and clean. So people, oh, you don't cook and clean?
Oh, so you hire someone if you have to.
See, that's what you see when that system's in place. That way I can focus on other things. Think about I gotta come. That's why. So think about it. What you want to eat? Oh, I gotta cook. Now I can't focus on you. But if I got somebody cooking, you gonna make sure. I just told you I'm a grandma's girl, so I'm gonna make sure you fed. I'm not gonna cook it. Now I know how to cook. I know how to cook. I just don't have time. So we gonna eat. Now, but I want you to cook it. Now, which one do you want now? Sometimes people be a little too picky.
Hello, welcome to Reactions and Reviews. I'm your humble host, Eze. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Fully aware that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I am so effing tired of the amount of emotional labor that comes with dating black men. I am so tired of the lack of commitment, the lack of support, the lack of encouragement, the lack of money. Like, I don't know what to do from this point on, but I can tell you one thing. My interest in dating another black man is like 1% at this point. They want us to be ride or dies until they get their shit together, and then they don't want to support us in return. They don't want to commit to us. They don't want to marry us, but then they want all the benefits of being a husband without actually proposing to us. I need someone who's intentional in every single aspect.
I didn't make this video to dehumanize, to degrade, or to bash black women. Well, for one, I'm a pro-black man, and I believe in black love. I believe in black family. I believe in black children. However, I made this video to wake you sisters up, because, ladies, you all are losing. Every year, more black men are waking up and going overseas. Every year, more black men are waking up and going outside our race, looking for love. That is why I made this video, okay? Now, let's break it down, break by break, with what she just said.
I am so effing tired of the amount of emotional labor that comes with dating black men. I am so tired of the lack of commitment, the lack of support, the lack of encouragement, the lack of money. Like, I don't know what to do from this point on.
Now see, she just listed what she is tired of from black men. What sisters, what they don't do is look at what black men are tired of from black women. Today in 2023, black women still expect black men to be like the men from the 60s. However, black women, have changed. They have changed. They believe they are quote-unquote slaves if they cater to their men. Sisters believe if I cook and clean for my man, I'm his mother. I'm sure you all have heard that before. Why am I going to cook and clean for a grown man? I'm not his mother. Those are the things that black women say to black men. Yet, you want black men to provide for you. That's not how it works. If you made it this far, hit that like button and leave a comment to trigger YouTube's algorithm. I'm a new channel and I'm trying to grow. So hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to let you know every time I upload a new video.
Meet Eric. He says that black women are too materialistic. He is not attracted to them and he will not date them. Now wait a minute. Before we behead this poor guy, let's hear what he has to say, okay? Why won't you date black women?
The experiences I've had with black women is basically, the first thing they want to know is, how much money do you have? What kind of car do you drive? What can you do for me? And so forth. My experiences.
So your experiences, you couldn't possibly have dated all the black women in this world, could you?
No,
so, not at all. Don't you think you're generalizing just a little?
I'm not generalizing for anyone else except for myself. What I'm saying is that in my experiences, that's what I...
Okay, you say that black women are greedy, selfish, and arrogant.
The ones that I have dated.
And then you're like, oh, well, you know, what do you bring to the table? Sir, why would I bring anything else to the table other than my physicality? Because that's what you like. That's why you're speaking to me. That's why you've decided to pursue me. That's why you're in my face. That's why you're in my DMs. That's why you're texting me, calling me. That's why you're asking me out, whatever it is. That's why, because you like the way that I look, Why would I bring anything else other than that? Why would I bring anything? I'm not bringing anything to the table. I'm not bringing a thing to the table other than this fat ass, these big titties, this pretty little thighs. No, that's it. That's it. That's all you get from me. That's it. And I'm going to take your money 100%. Yes, because that's all you can give.
She's a 10, but she doesn't cook or clean. What's in your rating?
Probably a 6. What I'm looking for in a wife, cooking is a big thing. I'm not saying that she'll be cooking all the time, but like that'll be something I'd really want in a wife material. So.
I really hate it when men are like, if I'm paying all the bills, then you should at least be cooking and cleaning the house. I should come home to a meal. If I wasn't here, you would still be paying the bills. The things that you do that you consider is for our marriage, you would be doing if you were single.
Him having money ain't about me. It's about his self. It's about his confidence. It don't got shit to do with me. Because see, that's what y'all don't understand. When you deal with a broke man, his manhood in the trash. Self-esteem, self-love, self-identity, all of that in the trash. His bag ain't about me.
Okay? When you get benefits from your job, I don't really get those benefits. You do. If I left right here, you would still get those benefits. I wouldn't. Your check don't come to me. So therefore, I don't give a damn about how much you work. Because you was working before and you're going to be working after you met me. I don't care how much you work. A hard-working man is nothing for me. Because you're going to work hard with or without me. What are you doing for me?
Even when it comes to the gold digger conversation, what you don't see those other women do, even when they are just screwing men for money, is bashing men, inadvertently making men feel like they're not important. Also, too, telling them that they don't need men. Psychologically, we have been taught to disassociate ourselves. And even in that Malcolm X quote, where he says the black woman is the most disrespected, he also says to be near your man. Because who taught you to hate the very race that you're supposed to be with?
Men are at a point where they've become disillusioned with a lot of women because the veil has been lifted. Men are now checking out of relationships that no longer serve as assets to their life, but rather liabilities. Men are seeing the lack of gratitude and minimal to no reciprocity they encounter on a consistent basis from the other side. Unfortunately, we've built a society where men hear terms like toxic masculinity and patriarchal oppression constantly thrown around in public discourse, while they sacrifice a dead-end jobs trying to put food on the table and provide for their families. Men are tired of being gaslit and shamed for their masculinity and nature, and it's making them revolt against the same system that's holding them to unrealistic expectations.
A lot of times, I hear a lot of sisters say, black men treat other women from other race better. Well, why don't we take a look and see why that is?
I highly recommend marrying black men. A lot of Arab and brown women are reaching out and they're trying to find black men. And I say black men are kind. They're very secure in their masculinity. They're also gentle. They're also not like I see this a lot in the Arab community because they grew up in it. Men get very shy that their women are out there, or their women work, or their woman does something. And black men are very chill and secure about it. Like, she's on her deen, she's respecting herself. I'm not going to feel shy about this. And that's a huge cultural difference that I definitely appreciate from marrying a black man. So do yourself a favor, ladies. Find yourself a black man.
A lot of your sisters are losing good black men to different race of women because those women know their duty. They know their duty.
5 things I didn't know were controversial about my marriage until I posted about them online. Number 1, I like to look nice for my husband. My husband loves me regardless of how I look, but I love putting in effort to look nice for him. Number 2, and this one's really crazy, I make his cup of coffee in the morning for him. Number 3, I cook for him every night. Number 4, when we are together, I do not drive. And number 5, he is responsible for the final say in all of our financial decisions. Hey guys, so I wanted to create a list of some skills that you should learn if you are interested in becoming a homemaker or housewife. So first on the list is cooking. Cooking is not only important for a homemaker, but is also important for family life in general. Food is what fuels our body, and when you control how it is made and what goes in it, you are doing yourself and your family a huge favor. Second is cleaning. So not only do you want to learn how to clean your house properly and most effectively, but you also want to use the best kinds of cleaners.
This past year, I made a goal to learn to make Mexican food for my son. Here's some of what I made. cooking exotic.
All right, we're back, everybody. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little quick break, and because it's almost time for me to go down into dealing with these heavyweights. So y'all hold on a minute. All right, we're back, everybody. Now, before we get on down in here with these heavyweights, I want to say one thing here because they had the thing on here a minute ago about cooking and expecting the woman to cook and clean and what I want to know is if she is doing that, do you think that that is it? Is that your criteria for the right woman? I want to know that, because in my personal opinion, before you meet her, you should be a master of that. That's just my personal opinion. You know, I don't like restaurants. I don't want nobody coming to my table taking a order and writing up no ticket for me, and then going behind a counter and giving it to somebody behind a wall that's preparing a meal for me and giving it to a waiter, a waitress to bring out and put on my table. I don't know what happened back there. And the reason I'm saying that because I've been in the restaurant business for many, many years. And boy, I don't want to mess it up, you know, with your date and all that right there. But I'm telling you some things that go on back there that you would not believe. But nevertheless, if you, first of all, when it comes to the cooking and stuff, why don't you be the master? Why don't you just cook for yourself? You ain't cooking to please nobody but you, and perfect that for you. And then when you meet a sister, she may be an excellent cook, but you'll be able to show her what you can do. How about that? Try some of that. It worked for me. I had a sister one time. She's on the phone with my mama, and she said, "I'm headed home. I just got off from work." And my mama said, "Well, I just got off the phone, and he told me that he over there right now cooking oxtails." And she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to turn around right now because I don't eat nobody oxtails but his." And almost got hit by a car in the street, turning around, headed for me before she even get home to get up in here to try to find out if I was really cooking these oxtails. You see what I'm saying? So why don't you just do you? You ain't got to argue with nobody. You got to argue with nobody, no arguing, no drama, no fuss. I don't do none of that. I ain't got time for that. Matter of fact, you start that, I have a front door and a back door. Which one you want to go out of? You leaving here? And it doesn't matter. I met a young lady one time, and I cooked dinner, and we had a lovely evening. And after we got through, I said, "You wash the dishes for me?" She said, "Oh, no, I don't wash nobody's dishes." I said, "Okay, well, no problem. All right, well, you have a good evening." And she left. However, she came back the following week and knocked on the door. I said, "Who is it?" She said, "It's me." I said, "Okay, well, come on in." When she came in, there was a woman from another country with panties on and a bra right there over the sink washing dishes. But there was no argument, no fight, no. I never had to ask her again if she would wash the dishes for me. Never had to ask her again. But nevertheless, let's go up here and take up a look at some of these here heavyweights. And let's deal with the relationship debate back in the day and see what they had to say back then.
The feeling of racial pride is not new for many African Americans, but the resurgence of black awareness and pride, black men and women face new problems, not only in relation to white society, but to each other in a black society. Recently, there has been a stream of articles on this subject, and the Chicago Daily Defender, America's largest black newspaper, began a series some weeks ago on the emergence of the new black woman. Betty Washington, reporter for the paper, surveyed the Chicago scene to report on how black men and women believe the revolution in racial pride will affect them and their families, before the sociologists and experts tell us how we are supposed to react.
As a reporter for the Chicago Daily Defender and as a black woman married to a black man, I've become deeply aware of the effects of this new black revolution on the relationship between black man and black woman. I see it among my own friends, and I also see it in my home. But the most revealing and the most vocal statement about what the new black man expects from the new black woman came when I met with a group of young unmarried friends one Saturday afternoon.
I think that what's happening in America as far as black men, black women is concerned is that there's a revolution within a revolution. We are fighting our own woman. Our woman will not allow us to emerge as black men. No. But our black women, who has been put in this role of aiding white America, white structure, incarcerating the black male, has continued doing this. She cannot live with us. It's not that we can't live with her.
Are you blaming us? Are you saying that it's our fault that this happened?
No, I'm not blaming black America women. I just said that I'm blaming the system. They are victims of the system like the black male.
Well, why do you say that we are castrating you? You say that you want to be the leaders. Okay. Well, what about the black professional woman? Are you saying that there should be no black professional woman? Are you trying to deny black women the right to be creative, the right to function?
We're not asking for you to take a back seat. We're saying that you have got to be astute enough and can view the situation well enough where you just automatically know what your role is and step back. And whenever you want to have that aggressive thing, this is the thing that the young black man today is not going to tolerate. My old man tolerated it because his old man tolerated it. It came up for years and years and years. But today, the young black man is not going to take it. He's going to be out there as a leader. White America has used black women to keep the black male in his place. And you're still aiding them by saying, well, we are qualified, we want to work, we can help.
Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're going to get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
You don't want to live on the level of income that I can afford you and love me on the basis of that. You want to always be inspired to have all those things that's a part of the great middle-class white American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
For these women, the men are there. But with the feeling of racial pride has come new conflicts and new problems. Across America, they meet to discuss what black awareness means to their families and to them as black women of today.
You know, there have been a lot of myths created about the black family. We all recognize that. And one of the most pernicious myths is the myth of the black matriarch, you know, and this whole concept. And I think this is one of the reasons that the black community reacted so negatively to the Moynihan report, because we know that that's not true.
It was not like
the black woman has not been a matriarch in the sense that it has been defined thus far. And thank God research, and I hope black research, is being done now to reverse that kind of thing. In fact, the black woman has been a woman at the head of a household, not by choice, but by necessity. And more often, that's right, and more often than not, she is not a strong, matriarchal, aggressive, domineering figure. She is a woman in search of a man. But this story has not been told.
The prejudiced society created what we have now. So that's what we were. Okay, we have a revolution going on.
Well, we're part of the revolution.
We're in an evolution. I think the revolution is
calm
just to
down.
come.
Yeah,
it's
well, this thing
we
will
keep
say.
tossing the word revolution around lightly. Everybody
Actress Val Ward performs the works of our black poets and dramatists. For her, black awareness is not revolutionary, but the very foundation of her marriage. Val's husband, Francis Ward, talks of the struggles of the black family in the past and the obstacles that lie ahead.
It's extremely important for black history and culture to be transmitted from generation to generation. And the best way, the most effective way that this has always been done is through the family, acting as the primary unit of social organization. And I think one reason why it has not been done with black people is because of the destruction done to our family life. So this certainly has to be one function of the black marriage, to begin to reemphasize and to pick up the thread of Afro-American history and culture that has been left off generations ago when Africans were sold into slavery, when the family unit was purposely destroyed. Part of the obligation of being black is to make absolutely certain that whoever has any kind of control or jurisdiction over your kid, is not bringing him into conflict with the kinds of things we teach. We try to instill in them here in the home.
Most middle-class homes, quote middle-class homes, like I don't even get caught up in that bag, you go into will have some copy of anybody, any white artist, I don't even have to name anybody, instead of the works of black artists. I think it starts, especially that identity part, the books, the kinds of books. All of these things start in the home rather than complaining about them being in the schools at this point.
Unless we're absolutely certain of how that teacher is handling them, then we may have to assume that whole responsibility. We may have to pull them out of school ourselves, and do all the educating ourselves.
Say, for instance, when they say to my child to draw, last year Rhonda painted Abraham Lincoln brown and she was put in the corner, We had to go up to the school and deal with that. They must be respectable to their peers in school. And what we do, we handle that. We don't say, you jump up, you curse that teacher out, or you say it doesn't exist. But they see us at that school knocking on the door. You have to be in there. Either we're going to control, their minds here, or at least give them the choice.
A lot of this is new to us, and a lot of these things we're grappling with, and we don't want to give anybody the impression that we have the answer to everything.
Not only that, though, let me cut you off again. People go around talking about hate. We really don't have time to hate because, it goose up the bag. We're loving ourselves. Mm-hmm. This might bring around a lot of other different things.
To be black means to love. It's got nothing to do with having to hate anybody.
It does determine, though, Francis, it has nothing to do with hate. Again, it's love. That we might have to do certain things to protect that love.
It may bring us into conflict with somebody.
Necessary to protect that love.
Finally, I asked Francis about the standards of today's black man as compared with those of 20 years ago.
Standards which white society had projected. I think these standards were that he had to become successful according to the white mode. He had to get a good job, he had to buy a good car, he had to move to the suburbs, he had to rear a good family that went to church every Sunday, that did everything that the typical good American family was supposed to do. And I don't think the black man necessarily is addicted to that notion. I think he sees the falsity of it. I think he sees the total hypocrisy of it. I think he wants to rear a tightly knit family, but not for the purposes that white society says. He doesn't want to rear a family for any sham purposes, just to fulfill some false ethic. But he wants to rear a good family in order to have his children strong, reared in his own image perhaps, and to transmit, most importantly, to transmit the values which he is learning to his children, and to try to ensure as best he can that his children will transmit those same values to their children, and have the same transmission repeated from generation to generation.
Listen to me. I am a woman. Black, that is. And there is but one thing which brings tears to my eyes. And that is to hear man, woman, or child stand up with strength and say, I'm proud. I'm black. And that's beautiful.
Okay. That was some very powerful stuff. All right, before I go down into the next part, I got to tell you another story. All right, now, I met a woman one time, and she invited me to her home. And she had a beautiful, clean, immaculate yard, a nice, expensive house, all that. She said, well, come on in. I came in. It wasn't a whole lot of furniture all everywhere, but everything was nice and neat. The walls are beautifully painted. But I noticed that she took me on a tour through the whole house. And I noticed that on every wall in that house, she had a picture on the wall of either a white Jesus or a cross or a Christian Bible throughout the whole house, including the kitchen, including the bathroom. And then she said, I asked her, I said, wow, well, why you not married? Oh, no, me and my husband got a divorce. So I divorced him. I said, you divorced him? Oh, yes, I divorced him. He said, but anyway, would you like something to eat? I said, no. I said, I just left lunch. I said, I'm okay. I said, well, what I do have to do is I have to get home because I got a little work tonight. Okay, well, hold on. Let me give you my number so you could call me. She said, let me get a paper and pencil. I said, okay. And I stood right there in the hallway. When she come around the corner with her number wrote on the paper, I accepted it and I gave her my business card. Oh, this your number right here? I said, yeah. I said, all you got to do is call. Okay, well, you got my number. I said, okay. So I left. No calls, no nothing. But anyway, then I seen her several months later in the post office. I ain't seen you. You ain't called me. Let me get you. Probably done lost my number. And reached in a pocketbook and got the pencil and paper out of the key and wrote a number again. But by the time she got it out, I gave her my card again. I said, just call me. Well, you got my number. Just call me. Just call me. I said, all right. And I went on about my business. But guess what? Because you know where I live at. There was no phone, no calls coming for me. She ain't gonna call me. She ain't gonna do nothing. And but all of a sudden I got the tent up. I got guests over. I got a big old pot deep frying big fish. Battered big fish, and then you come pull up out in front of the house and got out. And came in there. He said, well, this is my son right here. This boy here, almost 6 foot. I know he wore over 200 pounds. Well, he hungry. He needed fish. I said, well, hold on. I said, first of all, this is a fundraiser. People they're giving us donations and stuff for the fish. Well, I don't have to give you a donation, and my son is hungry. And I mean, it was as if I was under some sort of an attack. I said, well, look, I tell you what, I'm going to fish your son a plate. And I want to fish too. I said, okay. I'm going to fish you a fish. And I did that, and she got out in the car, and they took off. We never talked on the phone. She never called me, and I never called her. And she never came back. Isn't that interesting? How about that? I called a sister one time. I said, I need to go across town. I said, I need you to, I said, do you know where this area is? So she said, no, I don't. I said, well, when you get here, I'll show you how to get there. So she said, okay, I'll be over there in a minute. She come over there and picked me up. I gave her directions all the way where we was going in broad open daylight. And when we got ready to go back, I said, do you know how to get back? She said, no, I don't know how to get back because I don't know where I am. I said, well, all right, I'm going to direct you back. I said, when we get up into the corner, turn left. We get all the way, just ride straight on out. We get down here, turn right. By the time we got almost back to my house, she said, you know what? I have a problem. I said, well, what's your problem? She said, I have a problem with a man telling me what to do. I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to make sure that you don't never have a problem no more. I said, all you got to do is just pull over right there and just let me out. Oh, no, I'm going to take you back where I got to go. I said, you don't have to do that. I said, all I got to do is call a taxi cab right now. I said, I'm going to solve your problem. I said, just pull over right there and just let me out. No, I'm not going to do that. And hit the button on the doors and locked all the doors so I couldn't get out. And drove all the way back. Do I turn right here? I said, yeah. Got on down there like, where I turn now? I said, well, you turn left right there. She took me all the way home. And after giving her instructions about how to get back where we're going, well, I guess you ain't going to call me no more. That's the last time I seen her. I've never seen her again, ever again. Never talked to her ever again. Hold on, do a little commercial break, then we're going into some more of this good old stuff we learning here today.
If it is against the law for the bank to loan out depositors' money to you, how could the bank give you a loan? And if that's the case, how are they able to keep their doors open? And in some cities, they have the biggest buildings in town. What happens to the person who deposits money in the bank? What do they receive outside of nickels and dimes in the form of what's called interest? How can you get paid? Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Fill out the Contact Us form, and I'll rush you my free report. Let's get down to the bottom of this situation. Let me show you what's going on in how to deal with it. Okay, TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Peace, y'all.
This is the part one of a two-part series entitled Black Man, White Woman. Significantly, it was not entitled Black Woman, White Man because in the last 10 years, the statistics indicate that there is a significant increase in relationships between black men and white women and a significant decrease in relationships between black women and white men. With me to discuss this very volatile issue are two leading psychiatrists, Dr. Frances Welsing, a member of the Psychiatric Department of the Medical College at Howard University, and Dr. Alvin Poussant, a psychiatrist, a member of the Medical College at Harvard University, and author of the well-known book, Why Blacks Kill Blacks. To begin with you, Sister Welsing, why do you believe, basically, black men are becoming so significantly attracted to white women, or is it vice versa?
I'd like to turn it around. I think, first of all, that white women are seeking black men first. Black men some are attracted to white women, and I don't think that we can understand this phenomena unless we understand really what is the larger dynamic that is occurring not only in this society but in the world at large. And the way that I look at that phenomena is that number one, we are living within the context of a system of white supremacy, which is my definition of racism. Racism is a worldwide system of white supremacy, domination, and control. And all of the behavior that we see all over the world, whether it's the behavior of the black woman, the white woman, the black man, or the white man, is occurring within the dynamics of this system. And we can understand what is happening as far as the white woman, black man relationship and why that is on the increase. I think if we understand the need for the system to remain intact.
But Francis,
Okay.
you don't think that the black man has a special attraction toward the white woman?
Oh,
in
yes,
America?
he does. Yes, he does. He
Why
is,
is that?
well, he has been programmed historically to feel that, first of all, this is the woman who is the woman in the world, and this is the thing that has been denied him, you know, in terms of, let's say, male-female relations or sexual partners. The black man, at least in this area of the world, has been told historically, you cannot look at, you cannot touch this woman. And so at that level of social dynamic programming, yes, the black man is always so, well, this is the one thing that I have been denied in this society. And so many black men, I think, at one level, they are moving towards white women as white women move. White women are the major aggressors in this situation. But the black man is playing his role because he says, well, this is the thing that I've been denied. This is the thing that is going to be the great equalizer.
I think, though, that the need has sort of been exaggerated, because if we look at those statistics you just mentioned, actually in the past decade, even with the increase, there's only about 43,000 black man, white woman marriages. That's a very, very tiny percentage. That means about 2% of black men are married to white women. Now, if we had accepted the propaganda, that is the white propaganda, that all black men desire a white woman and they want to marry your daughter, you would expect the incidence of the marriages to really be increasing at a much greater rate.
I was going to ask, does it mean that that the fact that if we accept the fact that black men do feel that white women are preferable to black women, are we saying that their behavior in the context of standard behavior is normal or abnormal?
Well, I don't like to use those terms. I would prefer to understand the phenomena. For example, if we start labeling behavior, like, for example, homosexuals don't like to be called pathological, for one thing. And I think that it is more useful if we say, well, let us try to understand the phenomena of homosexuality, as opposed to saying, well, now that's sick, and then people get turned off and they don't spend time trying to understand the dynamic. In the same way, I don't want to look at the phenomena of, cross-color sexual mating or marriage or whatever. And in terms of pathology, I would rather say, well, let's try to understand what actually is going on.
But you call the white woman the aggressor.
I say that she is aggressive because we live in the context of a white supremacy society in which white people are the dominant group. They are the people who control the power. We are the oppressed people. We are the people who are victims of that system. Just like, in terms of history, it was just a short 2 months ago in terms of the whole historical span that black men were being lynched for looking at a picture of a white woman. Do you see? And now we are told, well, now everything is opened up. Well, I want to understand, well, why is it that everything is opened up? I think everything is opened up since black men started talking about black power. You see, when black men start talking about black power, then that says, well, all right, maybe there will be a challenge to the system of white supremacy domination, not only in this area of the world, but all over the world. So the white supremacy system says, all right, well, now what do we do to get these people back in control? And what do we do to get them back in check? That is the black man. Well, we'll lay our ace trump card on them, which is a white woman.
In other words,
you see, which brings the black man then back within the context that the white supremacy system is going to work for you. See, we've denied you this, now you have it. But on close examination, in spite of all of the black-white marriages, the black-white sex that has occurred throughout history, in the last 500 years, there has been no serious tampering with the maintenance of white supremacy, certainly not through the bedroom activity. Do you see what I'm saying? But in other words, it throws people off balance.
So the white woman is still, I think, in a position of psychological dominance.
Right.
And so far as she is, that's a form of white supremacy, and that the black men are frequently responding to her dominant position, the fact that she is considered a superior status object in society. But getting back to this point,
well, let me ask the question before you move to that. Then if we accept that, are we saying that the black men who marry white women are asking for dominance from a female?
No, the black men who are married by white women.
but the trend you continually...
No, I think that they are looking for status
The black men are looking
the
for
black
status.
men are looking for status whether they are aware of it or not. In other words, as long as you have white supremacy domination any place in the world, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Hawaii, whether it's Japan, any place, you name it, that as long as the people of color are the people who are oppressed, then when a marriage occurs, in other words, the dominator says, I will pick you amongst the victims who I dominate to marry you, then the victim says, oh goody, this means I'm in.
Well, that's true, but if I can ask this question.
Okay.
It seems, the way you are framing your analysis, that the almost total blame, if we can use that word, for interracial marriages is because of, one, white society vis-a-vis white supremacy,
Seeking to maintain itself.
and two, white women being the aggressors. You seem to be saying, and I'm asking a question, that black men are just blameless and they're sort of like the victims of something that they have no control over, or that they have no need to be married to a white woman for some perhaps pathological basis.
No, let's say, for example, if you set up the conditions for the development of a sadomasochistic relationship, then the masochist as well as the sadist is a part of that relationship, and they are playing roles that they have been conditioned to play. In other words, a person who is a masochist seeks out the sadist because then they could play their sort of dual game,
Mutual reciprocity.
their mutual reciprocity together. Now, within the dynamic of the system of white supremacy, you have, for example, many of the white women who are with black and other non-white men are actually, I believe, having a dialogue with white men.
How does that work?
See, the dialogue goes like this according to my analysis. First of all, the white women, we have the women's liberation movement, which is a dynamic of white females. Okay, they are asking for liberation out from under the white male. All right, now within the dynamic of the white supremacy culture, you also have penis envy. In other words, the white men have been perceived as being dominant over the woman. And so the woman says, well, I wish I had a penis. Okay, so what does she do? She says, well, I'll go out and get one that's supposed to be more powerful than yours, but I'm going to control it because we are white and we control all of the non-whites. So she goes out and she selects, and all this is unconscious, you know, activity, if you will. She goes out and selects a non-white male, be he black or any other non-white. Then she is walking down the street, or they can go to the, you know, justice of the peace or the priest or be married. And anytime a white man sees that, she is communicating to him, see, I've got one because I am in control of this.
I don't think we can, you know, generalize to that extent. I think that that's a theory. But it's getting back to the question when we present arguments that way is whether the relationship between black men and white women are pathological. Now, Frances said she doesn't like to think of it in that framework, but the fact is that a lot of psychiatrists have presented or said that interracial relationships in marriage stem from a type of negative psychological position or some type of pathology because of the racism in society. They'll say that the racism distorts people's minds so that frequently you'll get, say, a white woman attracted to a black man for the wrong reasons or for racist reasons. She may see him as inferior, that might turn her on, or she might see him as a black stud, that may turn her on. All of these are racist perspectives. Or the black man can get attracted to the white woman because she's supposed to be superior, and he wants to be part of that whiteness. In other words, she's sort of anointing him or helping him to feel a sense of self-worth by his involvement
Well, I wouldn't
with
argue
her.
with any of that.
But
yeah.
At the same time, I think that
well, let's look
we
at it
can't
this way.
say that this happens with everyone, and even if it does happen, that this is pathological.
Well, let's look at it this way.
Motivated
Let's say, for example, white men and white women have many difficulties in terms of marriage, all right? I mean, there's a lot of alienation that is going on just within the white group itself, within the whole total context of the white supremacy system. Black men and black women have serious problems in terms of the marital relationship. Now, either we say that all of these people are sick because of, you know, various problems, or we can say, well, now let us look at the total behavioral phenomena that is occurring within a social system. Let's not bother to label it, but let's begin to understand what is happening. Do you see what I'm saying? Because there are many, many problems. I wouldn't want to say that I don't think it's useful. At one level, we can say, all right, these are pathological relationships, the problems that black men and black women have. or we can say that the problems that white men and white women have are pathological. But
Well,
I don't think that,
society is
see, because
pathological.
once you say pathological, then,
which means sick.
Which means sick. Then people who can be helped by understanding the dynamic, they're turned off because they don't want to be labeled as sick, but they may want to understand the phenomenon.
Well, for purposes of analysis, let us assume...
Like, let's say everybody who comes to a psychiatrist doesn't want to be labeled as sick. They say, I have a problem. I don't understand how I am relating to this other individual and the product that we have that I don't want. Let me help me understand it so I can straighten it out. And this is where I'm coming from. I don't want to create a big thing about
At the same time, though, I think we can recognize certain things that, I don't know if we want to call them sick, but that are distorted. For instance, I've seen black men married to white women, and essentially they hate other black people, that they have sort of joined the oppressor and are actively anti-black. And
an expression of self-hate.
That's right. It's an expression of self-hate for them to marry a white woman.
But now,
on the other hand, I see some black men who are married to white women who remain militantly black.
Well, couldn't that be a defense mechanism?
But it is a contradiction.
But being militant, let's deal with this. Some of our most revolutionary blacks have white women. Now, many blacks suspect, and it's an open secret, that their militance is simply a defense mechanism so that they can deal with their need for a white woman.
Well, but look at it this way. Many of those so-called militants who are married to white women, I think it's because of the way that they have defined the problem for themselves. Many black people who a white person will say, well, that person is militant because the person happens to be saying black power. They are not really talking about the overthrow of white supremacy. They're talking about workers of the world unite, maybe. Do you see what I'm saying? But because they are black, they're saying, well, okay, I'm saying in terms of a whole humanistic struggle. They are talking, right. You see what I'm saying? So they don't perceive
integration. I think,
but they don't perceive a contradiction because the whole struggle of black people until recently has been defined as trying to get in to, we want to become a part of the society as though it is possible for people of color to become a part of the society. Now, some black behavioral scientists are saying, on the basis of having made an analysis that the system is one of white supremacy, in which none of the non-white people in the entire world, who happen to make up 9/10 of the total world population, none of the non-white people can actually integrate into the system of white supremacy because it is just that, maintaining white supremacy. Okay, so now within that context, then some black people are rethinking the position in terms of, now, if I am talking about the overthrow of white supremacy as a system worldwide, then what does it mean for me to not only marry, but for me to have sexual relationships with a person who, whether they are willing or not, are participating in the maintenance of white supremacy? And some of us are taking the position that if a white person really says that they like a black person or a non-white person, then they will abstain from sex and they will abstain from marriage because they perceive also their position within the white supremacy context, that as long as we have a system of white supremacy, then white people, when they relate to non-white people, are relating at a level of unequals. And until it's equalized, then something else is happening. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, the non-white person who is in bed with a white person, thinking that they are bringing about a humanistic union, are really bringing about their further subjugation, because they are thinking in the act of sex that now we are one and now we are equal. And so when you find that those people who are in bed with white people, when they get out, like you said, they are negative, and you can make a diagnosis. If you see a black person being very, very negative when they are, with other black people.
This is in all cases? I mean, you're sort of making a political... Okay, but you're sort of making a political statement.
But you have to agree...
I'm saying that the act of sex is a political act.
Yeah.
Do you see? Just like every other act.
Between people of blacks and whites.
Every act is a political act, because when people relate, they are always relating on the basis of power. Do you see what I'm saying? Whether they are aware of that or not. You can never get away from that. And so even when people of different colors are relating, the question of power is brought into play. For example, the French, in terms of maintaining colonial domination in Africa, Arnold Toynbee has written about this, that they made it a policy, if the black man, you send him to the university, the African who's in the colony, you give him a high school education and send him on to the university in Paris. He comes back and he says, all right, now I'm a Frenchman and I want to be free. I'm educated. I know as much as the colonizer. I want to be free. That you can cool him out by giving him a white woman. Do you see what I'm saying? And we see certain phenomena going on in the society today where black men who are married to white women are being given positions that black men who are not married to white women are not being given. Why? Because the white system perceives that that is a safe individual. Why? Because it is not only compromised in bed, but he is psychologically compromised. I mean, anytime you get in bed with somebody, sex is a very profound human act. And it has extreme psychological implications that spread into your, you know, what do you do in the area of economics? What do you do in the area of entertainment?
Why do we assume, though, that if a black man goes to bed with a white woman, he has to be assuming that she's superior, or he has to feel that?
He doesn't have to. She is superior.
Yeah, but he, suppose in his relationship with her, does he have to feel that he's coming from the inferior position? What about...
She can take him anytime that she wants.
What about just the biology of it?
If she gets angry with him...
What about the biology of it? That is, that he's involved in a sexual union that doesn't have political dimensions or meaning.
It does have political
even
dimensions.
To him psychologically.
Well, maybe if I'm saying what Dr. Welsing is saying, maybe she's saying that that's not conscious, but the dynamic cannot be eliminated on a logical basis. I mean, on a conscious basis, you can't say that unconsciously my behavior is not determined by something that I'm not aware of.
Okay, like a lot of people say,
you're
well, this is
assuming that all black men then got this feeling of inferiority in them.
All non-white people feel inferior. See what I'm saying? All non-white people who are within the system and the dynamic and the power of the system of white supremacy, until they consciously work and struggle with themselves, and even then, are going to feel inferior because functionally we are inferior. Let's say you're a professor at Harvard, I'm a professor at Howard, physician, psychiatrist. I take the position that we are functional inferiors. In spite of that, even compared to the white person who has a grade school graduate degree. Why? Because within the political power system, they have more power to control what happens to their lives than you and I have to control in what happens to ours.
What about the fact that a lot of black men say that they are going with white women and so on because they're trying to get back at the system, or they're trying to get revenge, or this is really a hostile act, and it doesn't, in fact, that they see it as a confrontation with the white system, and not as something that they're succumbing to as an inferior person, but they're asserting, in a sense, their manhood, or saying they just have as much right to have a choice about the women that they want that white men used to have and still have. The white men can have white women, and they can have black women, they can have anybody they want, but black men were confined to black women, and they couldn't even have her when they wanted her.
Let's say this. Some black men say they're super fly. Some say they're shaft. Some say that they're super nigger and that they have power that they don't have. That's a fantasy. You see what I'm saying? We can say a lot of things. I can say, for example, I'm a psychiatrist and I'm free. Does that make it a case? No, it doesn't. The proof of what is it that I can do for myself. Can I protect my children? Can I protect anything that I call mine? The ultimate answer to that is no. So that we can say a lot of things. Black men can think that they're doing a lot of things. It was not black men who said that white women could come now into the black community and start picking up whatever black man they want. The black man didn't have anything to do with that. And if the white supremacy system tomorrow morning wants to turn it around and say all white women come home because it's essential to maintain white supremacy, all white women will go home.
But don't you think, Francis, that psychologically, if white women have been forbidden to black men by oppression, if the black man has access to the white woman, that will make him feel more psychologically free.
It will fool them more. Let's say, for example, if you tell me, Francis,
you're psychologically free.
Well, that's not, well, wait a minute.
He didn't say functionally free.
No, it's a fantasy, and then it's a psychosis.
Do you
see that? Right. In other words, if you are operating, just like they tell us in psychiatry,
that means a loss of contact with reality.
If you are functioning on something that is not reality, then you've had it.
Well,
okay? Now, but this is something that the white supremacy system understands. You see what I'm saying? They understand. Well, now, we programmed these victims to feel that if they get a white woman, they will have it. Like a black cat told me who was graduating from graduate school at Harvard, that marrying a white woman was a part of the Harvard degree. In other words, I'm really in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Part of ascending upward in
All right.
In the
now,
system.
the system has programmed us to think that. Just like it programs a black woman to say, all right, if you have a white man, that really means that you are in. Nonsense. Do you see what I'm saying? Because white supremacy is going on. And white supremacy will go on and victimize your children and your offspring irrespective of what you were doing in your bedroom activity.
True.
And the white supremacy system further would like the non-white and the black man to think that his phallus or his penis, if you will, is equal to an M16 rifle, which is what he maintains power with.
But Francis, you don't think it's possible for a white woman and a black man to be involved in a relationship as individuals without all of this stuff?
No more than it is for a black man and a black woman to think that they have got...
all these things
we don't
going
know.
on.
In other words, when the black man and the black woman decide that they are in love, you know, all those feelings that we call love. What we call love is just that historic programming, you know, what parent we were tied to and whatever dynamic was going on, and then we go and pick somebody who turns on those same feelings. And we call those feelings love. But that doesn't, just because we call it love and then glorify it, doesn't mean that we cannot understand how those feelings got programmed in that way. And so a black man and a black woman, particular people who've had particular experiences, meet on a sunny day and they say, we are in love and we want to go off and get married. As though white supremacy as a major dynamic in the world has disappeared. Oh no.
But we don't have proof that most black men are programmed that way.
Do we have 9/10 of the people in the world controlled by white supremacy?
But we don't have proof that the black man is programmed.
What does that mean?
That is, we don't have the statistics to validate black men all wanting to rush after white women.
Wait a minute, look at let's be honest. If we look at what is the dynamic that goes on in the so-called black community or more amongst black people, what is still, you know, in the quiet recesses of our thinking, what is considered as beautiful? Still light skin and still straight hair. Well, what does that mean? See, that just means that the black mother who trained her son, you know, I have a friend who says that his mother programmed him down in Oklahoma, you know, just looking out the front porch. To the girl, black girl who was light-skinned, straight-haired, there's a beautiful girl. To the black-skinned girl with the kinky hair, she wouldn't say anything. Do you see what I'm saying? So that kind of programming, this is what I'm saying, that all of this goes
Gets involved in love.
All of this is involved in love, who is a suitable choice, what kind of woman does a professional man marry. You see, you can just survey. All we have to do is look at the phenomena of the social laboratory.
That's true.
And say, well, who are the people, that particular people who pick to marry? And we can understand that the dynamic of white supremacy is intact even when a black man and black woman are in bed. I've talked to black men who said when they're in bed with black women, they're thinking about Doris Day.
Oh, really?
I mean, well.
But Dr. Busan, you must admit that there are some black men
this is nothing to be ashamed of. We have got to stop being
who
ashamed
exclusively
of
don't
truth.
like any female who is not white. Now, I'm sure that you would have to have one constant, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
if a man who is black doesn't even look at a black woman and looks at nothing but white women, and then isn't that significant? I mean, wouldn't that be significant enough to be a non-generalization?
That's significant, but see, I don't know if we can relate it all as clearly to sort of political, you know, the white supremacy. For instance, let me take it down to a personal level. Suppose something is operating like say the black man and his relationship to his black mother or to his black father, where he develops blocks against black women, and then he generalizes it all to other black women, and then he gets involved with a white woman. Now, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily indulging in any form of white supremacy necessarily.
He's not
that is,
indulging in white supremacy.
you can't assume that
He's
his rejection
in
of his black mother is because she's black. He may be rejecting her for all sorts of other psychological reasons.
Let's go down and look at that. Let us look
and that the white woman is just happens to be there where he can displace that on.
This is very common phenomena amongst our people.
May I interrupt you? We're going to continue this next week, and we don't want to lose it. Next week we're going to continue part 2 of Black Man, White Woman, and a couple of things we're going to discuss with our same panelists will be why so many prominent blacks marry white men and why so many prominent black females in particular marry white men. To begin this second part of what was a very exciting first part, I'd like to throw the question out. What has the increase in relationships between black men and white women done to the relationship between black men and white women, in black men and black women?
Black women. Well, I think first we should say that, you know, there's interracial marriages that take place between black women and white men too. And that's a whole area because it seems that black men always get the focus of the interest and the attack, which is interesting because I think the society, white supremacy, has been concerned mostly with the black man, white woman. So I think that's the reverse of that, the white man, the black woman, also is a subject. There's no question, it seems to me, that black women, from what I can see, all over, are very, very upset and threatened by the growing relationships between black men and white women, and that they oppose it. Now, from the black man's standpoint, I hear a lot of brothers say over and over again that first it was the white man who told them they couldn't go out with white women. Now it's mainly the black woman who's telling them that they can't go out with white women, so that they still feel oppressed. Now, for whatever that's worth, I think that's an important point psychologically for the black man, because is the black woman in this, is she more concerned with her control over black men, see, or is she concerned with white supremacy and interracial relationships in general? Because if black women are concerned in general, then they should attack just as much, I think, the white man, black woman combination.
But hasn't the black woman, to some extent, because the statistics have reversed. The statistics for black women, white men has decreased by the same percentage that the statistics for black men, white women has increased. Yeah. So obviously the black woman
has more cause for concern at this point.
Well, maybe she has more awareness, more consciousness, more cause for concern. Maybe her concern is not due to the fact she's threatened. Maybe her concern is due to the fact that she's just politically more sophisticated and more conscious of what black people ultimately may have to do, and that is unify themselves.
Let me just add this, that I think that the black woman's concern is related to, let's say, perhaps her survival as a woman or her functioning as a woman. That, and hopefully, I hope it's beyond that, the change in the statistics. But I think that, let us say, black men after the age of 15 are decreased in the population relative to the number of black women. Where are they? They're in Vietnam, they're in prisons, and they're dying from various causes at earlier ages than white men comparably. So that, let's say, there are a number of women, black women, who are going without adequate spouses or male partners to relate to. So probably, instinctively, black women are concerned about that. Historically, white men have not been interested in black or other non-white women, be they Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or whatever. They have been interested in sexually exploiting black women, but not really taking them to the altar, let's say, to marry them or to really fully respect them. So perhaps black women are responding to that. But I think that what is key is really what is happening to blacks, because I see the thrust of white women sexually aggressing against the black man, or from the other side, the thrust of the white man sexually aggressing against the black woman, that this produces a division between black men and black women that is going to contribute significantly to, if you want to call it, genocide of black people. In other words, if you heighten the alienation between black men and black women,
harder to organize.
Right. It will. In other words, we talk about unity at a political organization level as being one kind of unity, but there is another kind of unity that is much more fundamental, and that is the unity within the family unit itself. And we have been denied the opportunity to really have functioning family units since the the really onset of white supremacy.
Let me ask one question. Let's talk about the contemporary family unit of a interracial couple in today's American society. Where in the black community, we have to admit that the black community is much more nationalistic, or very nationalistic, and that the black community is not receptive as it once was to interracial groups. The white community, I would say, has moved to the right to a very great extent.
You mean seemingly to the left? Do you mean to be more receptive to?
No, more reactionary to
It's more
interracial
reactionary.
couples.
No,
I'm talking about the middle America. I'm not talking about a few New York sophisticated interracial couples or San Francisco. These, I think, are just islands, are surrounded by
I would
very
disagree
cautious
with that,
white
Tony.
communities.
I would say that white people have moved to accept black men and white women to a greater degree than has ever been evidenced in this area of the world. And that is across the board.
Then does the black man...
And I would say that there's a reason for this. They are being conditioned by the kinds of movies that are being made these days, you know, where you have black men and white women engaging in sex on the screen or other kinds of relationships that the white community, in other words, those people who are responsible for getting the masses of white people to do those things that are necessary to maintain white supremacy, are conditioning them to accept this phenomena. Do you see? Because they understand that the black man really is being psyched out of position. He is being psyched to think when he asked for black power and liberation, and they said, no, we're not going to give you power, but here we will give you the white woman. And the black man was faked out of position, just like many people are faked out of position. You say black power, I'll give you a $15,000 job. You don't have power, you don't have self-determination, but you have a program or a grant. You see what I'm saying? In other words, you ask for this, but I give you this because you really don't know what you want.
Well, then are you saying
or you don't really know what constitutes power, or you really don't know what is the dynamic of the system. A lot of people think that the dynamic of the system is money. Money is not the dynamic of the system. White supremacy, or the maintaining of white power throughout the world, when whites are outnumbered 9-1 by non-white people, is the name of the game. Color is the name of the game. But we don't, I say that across the board and around the world, non-white people have not understood the significance of the color dynamic and how white people have taken something that they are very intimately concerned about. I say that the fact that they cannot produce color, that they have decided that they're going to dominate everybody else who has this genetic capacity, who can genetically annihilate them. You see, which comes one drop of black blood makes you black. That is a statement of the genetic dominance of the capacity to produce color over the inability to produce color.
And occasionally you'll find, I guess Francis has encountered this too, you'll find white women who have a preoccupation and desire to have black babies.
And white men have a desire to create children
Well, let's
of
talk
color.
about the first. Let's talk about the obsession, if I may use that word, on the part of a white woman to have a black baby. Now, what would the psychological dynamics be in a case such as that?
Well, I think, you know, it's hard to tell without really just picking an individual case. But it may... Go ahead, Francis.
Well, can you have you ever had a case?
I don't,
yes,
I've had
black psychiatrists who say that white women don't say this to white
wanted to have black babies.
But white women will say this to a black psychotherapist. I want to have a black baby.
Why?
I say why? Because white people, if we look at the skin color white, white is the genetic inability to produce color. It is a genetic deficiency state. It is a form of albinism. It has never been discussed in this way, but genetically, biologically, this is what it is. White people they don't have the capacity to produce color. They wish they could. This is why they spend a lot of time sun tanning, makeup, all of that is trying to give color to colorless skins. Okay. Now, because they have this deep psychological need, they are the only people in the world, they are the minority in the world who cannot produce color. And so they can't produce it, they can't make it on their own. They try to suntan, and then at the sexual level, they have attractions to people who can give them the illusion that they have participated in the production of color. So the white man has gone all over the entire world, having sexual relations with every group of non-white women that he meets. The white woman, when she has been allowed to, sexually aggressive towards men of color. So then she gives vent verbally to that fantasy. I want to have a product of color because this is the one thing that I can't do.
How much is color the issue? I think that
you can't move.
No, I know
color.
that. Okay, but what I'm trying to do is bring in other elements. That is, there's also, I've seen in some of these women a desire sort of to play a model role, or a really superhumanistic one. That is, they want the world to be colorblind, so they want to get involved in producing, black children and raising them.
If they want the world to be colorblind, what is the focus on color all about? If the world is colorblind, what is the point of talking about having a black baby?
This is some of their rationale. What I'm saying, I think that some of it is political in their minds. That is the time that the civil rights movement was talking about black and white together. And that was a political position that people almost felt forced to have interracial relationships. and that was
but
considered to be in the forefront of the whole thing.
Well, may I ask the question?
Both blacks and whites.
May I ask the
they
question?
They were both involved.
You did quite a number of investigative studies. I remember reading one in Jet magazine on the interracial relationships in the South during the Civil Rights Movement. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, wasn't there, or was there, or is there a phenomenon of black leaders and white women?
Well, I don't know if it's phenomenal. Let me say that I would say a lot of the black leaders and the rank and file were involved with white women. There were also a lot of white men involved with black women, but I think the main group, that is the largest group involved, were black men with white women, and that this created a lot of problems. And I think it had a lot to do with the development of the black consciousness movement.
Well, didn't it have a lot to do?
What did it have to do with it? Wait a minute. See, there are people, for example, who are looking at the thing that has cut significantly into the quest for black power that went on in the 60s has been the unleashing of white women and saying that now you go out and have relationships with a black man to cool him out.
Yeah, it has political
significance. All right.
No question about it.
Let's say, for example, the white woman, if you talk to women who are the furthest left, white women, who are in the women's liberation movement, peace movement, or any anti-war movement, if you say, look, what about eliminating white supremacy as a system? They have no use for that. They have no use even for the black man outside of the context.
Say they will, but I don't know.
Wait a minute. It has been my experience. Maybe yours is different. It has been my experience that white women will talk about in the war in Vietnam. When you say, well, that's the war to maintain white supremacy, then they don't want to have any trouble with looking at it in that way. When you say, well, look, the way that we have analyzed the problem is it's not a question of who has the money. It's a question of an established system to maintain white power, and that this is what is raising havoc all over the world for the vast majority of people. Do you want to eliminate that? No, because the white woman understands that the black man is not even going to feel towards her as he does unless there's white supremacy and unless he feels in his powerless position that he is gaining power by making an alliance, be it marital, sexual, or whatever kind of alliance with the white woman.
I think that they feel that maybe unconsciously. There was no question in my mind that with a lot of the white female workers in the movement, even though they were involved with black men and sometimes married to them, that a lot of them had a lot of racist ideas and feelings. That is, frequently the attention of the black men made them feel very special.
Right, like you called it the African queen, or the white African queen.
Yeah, the white African queen. Heightened their sense of feeling special.
You mean attention they couldn't normally get from a white man.
But look at this.
And then the old thing about white women frequently who were unattractive, who came into the black community because the black men would adore them because they were white, but the black men thought she was beautiful.
That's right.
And that's still operating frequently, sometimes in subtle ways, so that you can sometimes get, I'm not saying this is true of all white women or anyone, but this is an example. You can get a very pretty white woman sometimes who internally thinks she's no good.
Why? Because
for a lot of
she
reasons,
has been devalued
who might
by
get
the
attracted
white man.
to black men.
See, white women are asking for liberation. They are asking for self-respect from their own men. Okay, because a white man not only had to be dominant to all people of color, he also had to dominate his own woman in the process. And so white women are saying, we want to be liberated, or we want to make ourselves equal to you. You see, I think that is the major dialogue that is going on. The white woman is saying she wants to be...
Don't some of them want to rid themselves of the racism? Isn't this important, particularly
that's
when they're raising their children? I mean,
no, they don't want to rid themselves of privilege. You see, and this is why there was a study done recently where white women are still teaching 3-year-old, 2-year-old white children that it's no good to be black, and that black people are niggers and this and that and the other.
But what about the white parent of a black child? I mean, that white parent would have a vested interest in at least trying to deal with their racism so that they will raise their children unscarred.
You would think that.
Now, all of us know, people from interracial homes. I mean, they're not all, brainwashed into being white.
No, they can't be brainwashed into being white because they're all non-white. All of them have marks of being non-white products. Either their hair is curled, their lips are broad, their nose are broad, or their skin is dark. Black genetic material is always going to leave its mark. And the children are always non-white. And the children that I have seen, many of these children have more hang-ups about not being white, you see, than black children who may be the same hue. You see, because they are caught in that dynamic of a parent on the one side, a white parent who still has not given up their desire to be dominant as a white person, and the black parent, be they male or female, who when they went into that alliance hoping that they would somehow be in the position of an acceptable one now after they had devalued themselves. So that the child is in...
I don't know if
well, she's
what I'm saying
just
is,
for purposes of conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can say all of anything.
I know, but it's important. If we're talking about it, it makes it seem as if these are
well, let's look at it this way. Non-white children who have had white parents, all of us, everybody in this little circle, has had some white intertappings into their genetic style.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? Now, in the vast majority of non-white people in this area of the world have had white intertappings, so that it really is not significantly different than what happens actually in the white home itself. The dynamic is still the same. So that you have light-skinned, dark people feeling devalued because they have color. Whether it occurs in some illegal alliance of a white man having something to do with a black woman on 14th Street in Washington, D.C., or in Mississippi somewhere, or in Harlem, New York, or Fifth Avenue, or wherever.
There's a black current involved, too.
But what I'm saying is that, see, we cannot take any of this out from what is happening at a global level. See, one thing that has happened in psychiatry, that we have been tied up with somebody by the name of Sigmund Freud, who I'm sure made some very significant contributions in terms of looking at human behavior, some significant contributions, but he got tied up in talking about behavior comes from within the individual and only indirectly from what is happening outside of the individual. So he called it the sexual instinct, okay? But there are other people, fortunately, now who are coming along.
While we have time.
Yeah, but we're not, we're not completely controlled, by the externals. And I would like to think that we have some power over determining and understanding the processes that affect us.
While we have time.
But I don't consider myself a complete sort of robot who's affected by racism and don't understand it. And I think a lot of people like that, both some whites, but not a lot of them, and a lot of black people can understand or feel what's going on. And I think that's why you get some black men who are very aware about a lot of racial things in their blackness, who may get involved in those situations, particularly in the past. And you have some who are on the opposite extreme. But it's not like we're all...
Yes, all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
We would never resolve that very deep psychiatric problem. But I would like to, at least while we have a few minutes, discuss one very important point. And that is the significant phenomenon, and Dr. Poussin, I'm sure you will agree with us in an overgeneralized way this time, the significant phenomenon of well-known, I will not make well-known synonymous with prominent, black women who, particularly professional entertainers, who consistently marry white men in large numbers and one white man after the other. And I would like to know from either or both of you how you view this dynamic.
I say that they're not marrying the men. The white men are marrying them, okay? And I think that is...
Well, but if they continually are selective...
Well, let's put it this way. Number one, that, as I said earlier, that there is an extreme alienation going on between the black man and the black woman. In other words, this same conversation really could be discussing the alienation between the black man and black woman that allows for the significant phenomena of black man, white woman that we see. All right. Because there is that alienation, then black women and black men all across the economic board, no matter whether they're on welfare, whether they're making, $150,000 a year probably as an entertainer, are having problems in terms of their relationships with each other. Now, some women who, they may be in the limelight or they may be considered beautiful or star or something like that, all right, they have been frustrated in many of their relationships. If you take all of those entertainers, if they start telling you that they started out relating to black men and they had a number of kinds of problems, and so now, well, I don't want to say you didn't, no, you didn't fail us.
Okay,
you didn't fail us. The white supremacy system is just beating
all
of us.
Black men will say that too about black women, that black women have let them down.
Right, well, you see what I'm saying? It's just like the Julia syndrome. Diane, Carol, and Julia. Black women have been programmed via TV and everything else. You don't need a black man. You just need a white man to give you a job. At the same time, they're saying to the black man, you don't want a sapphire. She's too argumentative. She talks too much. You see what I'm saying? What you need is a white woman. Now, what does this produce? This produces maintenance of white supremacy. Why? Because you have divided and conquered the black man from the black woman,
But
just like you
I have to
divide
make
and
this
conquer
point.
non-white people
I have to
all
make
over
this
the
point,
world.
if that's true. But I still must return to the fact, and I don't think we can lose this statistic, that there is a decline on the part of black women in general in interracial relationships, but there continues to be a significant increase among black women and white men when the black woman is a prominent entertainer.
Yeah, Tony.
Okay.
See, I'm isolating, and we must address ourselves to this.
Well, look
I'm
what
isolating that group of black women.
Part of this, I've talked to people about this in show business. One of the explanations they give, you can take it or leave it, is that in the entertainment field, where these women are most of the time, that there are very few prominent black men who have power. Black men aren't the producers, they aren't directors, they aren't the people putting up the money, they aren't the stage managers, that all of these people in that industry, the strong, dominant, powerful men are white.
Are you saying that the black woman, in order to be successful in that field, must marry one of those white men?
No, I think that that's part of the phenomenon.
But many black women in the entertainment field do not marry white men, and they are still successful.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that not
But I'm
contradict
saying they're
that point?
coming in constant contact with these types of white men in the business who
let's
have
say,
power,
look at it this way.
and starlets frequently marry men with power.
Okay, and
White
not only
actresses
that,
do this, white entertainers.
But I must now return to your theme. Wouldn't the variable then be the individual?
No, look, there are not a lot of black men who are earning that same salary, okay?
Into that
because even at the lower level, black men and black women have problems because the white supremacy society has said it'll be easier for a black woman to make a particular salary. Black women can get a job easier than a black man any day. And that has caused... Huh?
I don't think that's true.
Well, just ask in the
these
community.
statistics. Okay,
ask in the community, because a black woman could be a domestic worker when her husband couldn't even work.
Yeah, but I think it's shifting. That's
Well,
all
it
I'm
may
saying.
be gradually shifting. I don't know about that looking at the current unemployment statistics, okay? But I'm saying that that has been a sore point within the black family unit a long, long time, and that's why somebody like Monahan can come out and talk about matriarchal family structure. Why? Because the white supremacy society said, well, we'll let her make more money because it's really important to keep him down. All right, so this is what they did. Now, when you get to the level where the stars are, and the income...
Why the fear?
In the incomes that they're making, that number one, you have many black men who are not making comparable salaries. And when they are making comparable salaries, because of the dynamic that goes along with that salary, then he wants a white woman. So who's available for her? Because we have one black behavioral scientist who says when a black man is poor, he wants a job. When he gets a job, he wants luxuries. And when he gets luxuries, he wants a white woman.
All right,
now, that is the dynamic that is produced.
All right, let me ask one.
You see what I'm saying? It's not castigating the black man. It's saying this is what the white supremacy society is programming.
All right, but consistently,
and we have got to keep that in
Dr.
mind.
Wilson, you have made the point in a very strong premise that the black man is the real fear of a political system based on white supremacy.
Oh, yeah.
Why, I'll ask.
Well,
why the black man? Why is this system so afraid of the black man?
You know what
if
black
that fear
power
is the
means?
reason for interracial relationships.
You know what black power means? Black power means genetic power. The black man can annihilate the white man, you know, with his phallus. The white man has to build a missile to annihilate people of color. By that I mean this, that I think that the fundamental thing that is frightening white men and has frightened them since they were created as genetic mutations is that their appearance can be annihilated by the black man, especially the man who can create the most color, which is the black man in the whole human family. And that is the individual who has to be made inferior and who has to be controlled and has to be destroyed. At the fundamental level of genetics, then we can look at the next level in terms of numbers. That non-white people, if they outnumber white people 9-1 in the world, then the white man all over the world has got to say, now we have got to keep these people down. And you keep a people down by controlling their men. Women, that's why they can let...
I think that's true.
I think that this is where...
I think that's true, that all of the policies that they had in repression of blacks directed toward the black man's access to the white woman, because then that way he could destroy white people eventually by making all people of color. Whereas the white man, his access to the black woman produced children of color, but they were black children.
No, the white woman is that all of the children of black and white are non-white.
Yeah,
whether it's the male, or whether it's the male white or the female white, the children
whatever.
are all,
the children are all brown. But that's why they wanted to protect the white woman against the black man.
Not to protect her, to control the sexual activity
right.
of the black man. You see
That's
what I'm saying?
right.
Not
In
to protect,
relationship
but
to the white woman.
That's important. In other words, the genetic material of non-white men in the world has to be controlled if we don't want the disappearance of white people. And white people, even though they don't like the fact of skin whiteness, proof their quest for suntan. Okay. Even though they have psyched themselves into the position that white is beautiful, although they don't really believe it, then they don't want white appearance to be annihilated because now you have a worldwide system that's 500 years old of white domination and white privilege.
And it's easier to control black people.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a very, very interesting interview and some comments. We hope to have Dr. Welsing back on a future Black Journal program discussing her very phenomenal genetic theory called the crest theory.
Okay, everybody, we're back. Now, I don't know if everybody out there clearly understand the psychiatric and the psychological aspects of what they was talking about. But I'm here to tell you that if you would do some deep research, you would discover some phenomenal things that has occurred in the past in regards to what was talked about this evening. I just happened to be born with a very fertile mind. And I remember a long time ago, even when I was a child, that there was this thing going around in our community where the women were talking about, well, you have to get this kind of man. My baby had this kind of, my baby looked like this here, and as if we're trying to get away from ourselves and adopt something else. But what we're going to do is come back with part 2. And we're going to get down into the scientific aspects of what we're talking about. Just pure scientific. Genetically recessive or genetically dominant, real hair versus fur. Masquerading it. We're going to get down into the real scientific aspects of what we're talking about here this evening. But in the meantime, let's take a little quick break, and when we come back, we're going down into the last phase of this program. right, everybody, we're back. Now we're going into the last phase. Let's hear from Miss Faye and see what she got to say about all this hemp business and what advice she have to the brothers and sisters. Let's see what Miss Faye got to say about all this right here. Okay, let's see. Where's she at? First of all, I gotta find it. Y'all hold on a minute. I'll get it in a minute. There she go. Let's see.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. Today's topic is, why are so many black women single? Why? Why are so many beautiful black women single? Before we get started, I want to say welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to all the new viewers, the new subscribers, and welcome to you who have been with me from the beginning. I really appreciate you. Now, let's dive into this topic. Many of us black women find ourselves single because there's a shortage of available black men. Number one, we'll go with that. Where are our black men? Half of them are in prison, jail or prison, you see, and that is by design of the system. You know, after slavery, you know, the system didn't know what to do with black people. They really didn't. So they designed the system to incarcerate half of them. The prison system is filled with black men, ladies. So half your men are there. Maybe the other half decide they want to be gay. They want to like men. All right? So where does that leave you? Your pool is very small. Very small. Now, out of the very small pool of black men that are, let's say, available to women, half of that pool of available men prefer women of other races. They don't want a black woman. They want a woman from another race. All right, so now the pool is even smaller. It's just a very small pool. And in this pool that is left, what you got? You got the psychopaths, the sociopaths, the narcissists, the non-committal men, and a very tiny, tiny piece of good men. But you got a whole pool of black women. What's to do? Now, many black women who are not single have decided to date men of other races and marry them. But still, there's a whole slew of black women who are left to be single. And that's why I encourage you to work on yourself. There's not a lot of choices out here for you, but if you work on yourself, build up yourself, love yourself, create a foundation for yourself, you will make yourself more attractive to men of any race. Ladies, you don't have to be tied in to just date men of your race. Now, I know that it probably is a preference to date someone of your own race, but if nobody is available of your own race and someone else from a different race approaches you, be open. Ladies, be open. Number one, because men from other races have not suffered what the black man has suffered. I was about to say here in America, but the black man has suffered no matter where he is. Period. From oppression by the mere fact the color of his skin. He's been oppressed. Now, black women have been portrayed as whores, loose. Nobody wants to marry a whore. You understand? And black women have also been portrayed as being bitter, very bitter black women, bitter and aggressive. Now, let's say something about that, all right? Since slavery, black men have been destroyed. Since slavery, all right? Now, the black woman, here she is left on her own to survive and take care of her children on her own because the system has destroyed the man, has taken away all his power. He can't find work. Many of them already have records, have criminal records, only because they have tried to survive in the system. So they have a criminal record. The system stamped it. All right. It's not good. It's almost like the system has decided to eliminate the black population. And the way that they decided to do that is to destroy the man. They destroy the man. The woman, where is she? Many black women are left alone, raising their children all alone because their men have been taken away. Taken away. There's nothing wrong with you, black women. You are beautiful. You are as beautiful as any other woman in the world. There's nothing wrong with you. Black women have been portrayed as being bitter. Well, you know what? You really have a reason to be bitter if you're bitter. A lot of things have happened to you. A lot of things. Your livelihood has been taken away. It's hard for you to even make a living. Many times you have children by yourself, no man to help you out, because because the pressures of society are making the men more feminine. So they are looking to be taken care of, not real men to take care of their families. See, the black man has been broken down. He's continually trying to find himself. He is. He's continually trying to find himself. And as he does that and helps younger men to understand their power and who they really are in this world, then they can become more upstanding men and value their women. See, many black men don't value their women. During the times of slavery, women were taught that they cannot trust their men to protect them because the system has taken the power away from the man to be a protector or a good provider. The system has done that. The system is continually trying to destroy the black man. Now, brown men, they still have their culture. So it's different, you see. They still have their culture, so they embrace their women and their families and all of that. But for the black man, your culture is destroyed. You don't even know where your culture is. Half of us don't even know where we came from. You know, they tell us that we came from Africa, but is that true? We could have been born right here on this land. You don't know, people. Black people have been dispersed all over the continent, and we really don't know where our origin is. Some people say our origin is in Israel. Some people say our origin is in Africa. Some people say our origin is right here in America. We don't really know. All we know is what the system has taught us. But see, the system is what is destroying us when you listen to it, because the system is regulating what the woman is supposed to be, what the man is supposed to be, and the family is supposed to be. And the system actually is destroying the family. It has almost totally destroyed the black family. The black men who make anything out of their lives go for white women to marry. And why is that? Because white beauty is the standard. Whiteness is the standard of beauty in this system. Okay? So the black man, when he decides to marry, and if he is at a certain status, you know, he's making a large income or whatever, he feels like he wants a woman from the top shelf woman. And in the black man's eyes, many of them, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them who make it big, in their eyes, top shelf women is that white woman. That, in their eyes, that's what a top shelf woman is, a white woman. The system has warped your mind to believe this. Women are women, people. Understand this. You know, culture makes a difference. But women are basically women, just like men are basically men. And what color their skin shade is should not make a difference. Now, the way that they were brought up could make a difference in who you choose to marry. That's right. But the skin color should not be a difference. And black women have been crucified because of their skin color. Their skin color. In the process of the system destroying the man, it destroys the woman too. You know, the system, I'm telling you, after slavery, they didn't know what to do with black people. That's why we kept hearing those terms, go back to Africa. Well, who's to say we even came from Africa? That's what they say in the books, but we're finding today, you can't believe everything you read in the books these days. They only tell us what they want us to believe. You got to do your own research and try to find out for yourself what's going on. But ladies, black women, love yourself. Don't worry about it. If you're single, you can be happy, single, and strong. You don't have to have a companion. If you desire a companion, there are ways to attract them, attract what you desire. But be flexible in today's society, ladies. Be flexible. There are men from other races who are now approaching black women. So all of that's going to change soon, where black women won't be the most undesirable women to marry. That's changing now, only because other races are coming in to marry black women. They're saying that there's nothing wrong with the black woman. The black woman is a beautiful woman, and has many gifts, many gifts. It's just that society has tainted the minds of many people to make them feel like black people are evil, black people are lazy, black people are stupid, black women are aggressive. Listen, that's ridiculous. Women are women, because black women have been forced to take the lead because there's no men. They've been forced to be the strong leader in the household. But this is by design. through the system. People, black women, do not down yourself because you don't feel like men are respecting you the way that they should. Respect yourself and demand respect. And don't settle. See, when you settle, that's what makes you feel less than. You don't feel your worth, your full value when you settle. Never settle. Love yourself. And if you desire a mate, meditate on it and ask the universe to deliver you a mate just right for you. And black women, you are beautiful black women. There's no reason for you to go out and try to enhance yourself to meet the standard of whiteness. Black women, don't do it. Don't try to meet that standard of whiteness. That's something that the system came up with. That whiteness was the standard of beauty. So that's why you see women all over the world, black women, trying to lighten up their complexions, looking as white as possible. You know, listen, don't do it. Be yourself. Love yourself. And when you love yourself, that love is what you're putting out. And that love of yourself is very attractive to men of all races. All races. So, cherish yourself. And it will show. And your beauty will show. And men will find you irresistible. And when he comes, he may not be a black man. He may be of a different race. Be open to it. Just realize that people are people. I call it the system. And the system is why people are divided. Because when people are divided, the system can work its magic on you and put you in these categories. You know, you are better than, you are less than, you are nobody. You know, these categories. But if people would unite and understand that we are all of one mind, the universal God mind, then we are all connected.
You're at a bar looking for a new beer when you smell a citrusy aroma. It smells like sunshine and oranges. You see the bartender pouring a beer that looks refreshing. Only one problem. You have no clue how to pronounce the name. Jai-alai? Is that even English? The bartender is now heading your way. As you're about to order an ice cold Jai-alai, you hear, "Can I get a High-Lai?" High-Lai, the best beer you probably can't pronounce.
LifeSurge is coming to Jacksonville, Saturday, January 18th. Get inspired and equipped to grow your financial resources for Kingdom Impact, featuring leaders in faith and finance. Life Without Limbs' Nick Vujicic, pastor and author Craig Groeschel, president of Proverbs 31 Ministries Lisa Turkhurst, NFL Hall of Famer Tony Bazzelli, entrepreneur author Ed Milet, worship by Bethel Music, and more. Saturday, January 18th, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. For tickets, visit lifesurge.com today.